Good morning. It is a Would You Rather Wednesday edition of Glenn Clark Radio. I'm Glenn. He's Griffin. A lot to do on the program today. Coming up in just a few minutes, our friend Sweet Swinging Kenny Singleton is back with us. Orioles legend. We'll discuss a difficult loss last night and some other big picture things for the Birds. Also this morning, Tavaras Hardy, Loyola basketball coach, is going to join us. He has developed a very close friendship with a former Loyola basketball player whose name happens to be Michael Malone. He is, the coach of the Nuggets going to the NBA Finals. So we're going to talk to Tavaras Hardy about that, what it means for Loyola basketball. That's on the way. Our friend Cordell Woodland is going to return to the program for 105.7 The Fan. Ravens back out on the first official OTA. The previous ones are football school. And apparently the first time we're going to see Lamar Jackson maybe on the field, maybe not. I'm really sure. I saw that Adam Jones and Jerry had John Harbaugh on their podcast, and he was kind of dodgy about it, like what the plan was. It was a whole thing. But Lamar Jackson's there. That much we know.
They can't reveal anything. So.
Right, because they're preparing for an opponent this week.
Yeah,
so
exactly. The media.
So dumb. So dumb. Well, somehow the Texans could use this to their advantage if they know if Lamar Jackson's going to participate.
If anyone could.
In practice. Sure, the mighty
would be the
Houston
Texans.
Texans. Great. Anyway, yeah, we'll talk to Cordell. He'll also play Would You Rather Wednesday with us. And our friend Gregg Rosenthal returns to the program. Of course, the French Open gets underway on Sunday. Gregg Rosenthal from Courts of Thunder, which I don't even know if we're doing anymore. I got to be honest. I put that out to him. I'm like, well, we could do a segment or we could do a podcast. And he was like, how about a segment? I said,
there's your answer, I
guess.
Yeah,
and, like, I get it. We both of us, it's very difficult. We don't really have the time to do it. And then like the one time a year we do have time work-wise is the summer. But then we're both, like, on vacation. We're both trying to do things with our family. So it's a lot to ask, but we'll talk some French Open, I guess, because I think I saw he did a breakdown of the AFC North recently. I guess we'll bring that up with Gregg Rosenthal, but I promise you I don't want to. So that's what's coming up on the program today. Today's show is brought to you by A.J. Michaels, expert and award-winning A.J. Michaels. Heating, AC, plumbing, and home performance will improve your home's energy, efficiency, and comfort levels. AC season is here. New rebates and discounts are available. More at ajmichaels.com. So yeah, that stunk. There's no way around that. Obviously, that was just the epitome of brutality. Is that the doofus? What's that guy's name? John Rothstein. Is that what he says?
Yes.
God,
yeah.
that guy. That guy has never offered anything to anyone and has made
not true.
an unbelievable career out of it. He has no original thoughts.
I enjoy John Rothstein.
Of course you do. God, that's the most likely thing you were going to say this morning. Of course you enjoy John Rothstein.
Gets fired up about college basketball.
That's it. It's all he is yay, I like sport. That's it. There's no thought. There's no. He doesn't.
One of the best sports. So.
I like college basketball too. I don't think liking college basketball
You're jealous,
is
aren't you?
No, not at all. Let him have that job. This is like the doofus that catches the home runs that caught the other one last night. Let him have them. God bless you. If that's what you want to do with your life, do it. And trust me, John Rothstein is doing quite well for himself. And for what it's worth, if somebody offered me a significant amount of money, I would at least have to think about it. I don't think I could. I think at some point I would have to roll my eyes and say, I just can't be this person. I'm not capable of it. If I could use a fake name, maybe.
Glenn Rothstein.
Right, if I could just do that.
No one would know.
And by the way, he might have actual appreciable skills that I just don't know about, but his bit is just a bit.
He's a college basketball insider.
No, he's a doofus that just says the same six things. The dumb thing that he says about College Park that doesn't even make any sense.
Spring break capital of the
Yes, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. He says of the Northeast. Maryland's by no means in the Northeast. It's illogical.
Well, no.
Everything about it is illogical.
People go to school in
but
PA and Boston.
He just keeps saying it because he doesn't have anything interesting to say, so he just does the pro wrestling bit. Trust me, I get it. The Rock comes out and says, if you smell what The Rock, and people just go with it. And when you don't have things to say, that's what you do, is you just do the same bit. You do something stupid.
John Rothstein catching
like
strays this morning.
Never
for no
lose
reason.
ever and say who the man of the match is. What a dumb bit that would be. That's a terribly dumb bit.
I hope he goes on his podcast today. And
I don't think that we're going to catch. I don't think it's going to matter. And by the way, I'm not mad at him. You can do whatever you want to do with your life. I just could never be that guy. Anyway, sorry. I don't know how that started. Oh, the epitome of brutality. Yes, last night was the epitome of brutality for the Baltimore Orioles. It's one game. It's baseball. I think if we all had looked at the schedule going into the week and seeing the pitching matchups, we would have said, hey, this is the most likely game that the Orioles are going to lose of the three, given that it was the one where you're facing Garrett Cole. But that, of course, is what makes it worse, is that the problem wasn't Garrett Cole. You had no problem with Garrett Cole. You scored 4 runs off of Garrett Cole and somehow lost the baseball game. And that's infuriating. Doubling down on how infuriating it is, multiple elements. You went all in with your bullpen to try to win the game. You used your A bullpen, including 2 innings of Yennier Cano, and lost. And that is a rough way to go. In fact, it made me think it was interesting that he didn't put Felix Bautista back out there for the 10th inning. It made me think that, and Brandon Hyde would never admit this, that essentially you recognize when you didn't score a run in the top of the 10th that you had lost the game, and you weren't going to waste both Kinnear and Batista's availability for tonight in the process. Now you're going to have Batista for tonight and Cano for Thursday if it works out that way. But that's what it felt like, is that, boy, we went all in to win this game. Now we're not going to win it. So it's worse than even your typical. Like, if you had just gotten blanked by Garrett Cole, we'd all sit here today like, yeah, it stinks, but so it is. To have it go the way that it did felt like multiple losses. That was wretched. And then to get to the 10th inning and to have such unproductive at-bats from both Santander and Mountcastle. Remember, we just had this conversation on Monday. Can a championship team have both Santander and Mountcastle in the middle of the order? And I said then, I don't know. It feels like too much of the same. And last night doesn't prove that by any stretch of the imagination, but I couldn't help but think about it last night as that 10th inning unfolded. And to take nothing away from Michael King, but God, that was just bad. To have 2 wildly unproductive at-bats when the game's on the line from the 2 guys that are the middle of your order. That's a tough way to go. Now, I know Frazier was, that's a nice play by Volpe, right afterwards to rob Frazier of what could have been, a game, a go-ahead RBI single. Just so much frustrating there. Then the question also would be, if you were going to, do the all-in thing, if you were going to throw Yennier Cano for 2 innings last night, why not go rescue Bradish a little bit sooner? Like, these are the types of things that, it doesn't feel congruent. It feels like you're not thinking about it ahead of time. If you're all in to win one baseball game to the point that you're throwing Cano for 2 innings and almost certainly making him unavailable tonight, then when Bradish gets into trouble, why are you so hell-bent on letting him work out of his own trouble? Why not have someone ready sooner? And why not go get him maybe after the first run scores? I did it with the 4th inning last week. I'll do it with the 5th inning from last night. Even if it's not Cano. Now you got Givens, too. So now you got one more option for an arm that you have at least an amount of faith in.
A high-leverage arm.
Correct.
Yeah.
If you were going to put Baker in the 10th inning last night, and I would have to go back and look who would have been coming up at that point in the 5th inning, my point would be you use those guys when the game is at stake. This obsession with, we've got to get through the 5th inning, that makes sense if you don't ultimately care about the result. If at some point the priority is, we're not going to blow our bullpen tonight to try to win this game. But you were. And if that's what you were going to do, why not go get him earlier? Who the bloody F cares about you can qualify for a win if you make it 5 innings? That can't be a thought process. That can't be anything that registers. Again, not wanting to hurt your bullpen makes sense. We want to get 5 innings from the starter because we don't want to tax our bullpen too much. But ultimately, you taxed your bullpen and had to go to extra innings. And if that was something that you were willing to do to try to win the baseball game, then why not recognize that the 5th inning might have been when you won the baseball game or lost the baseball game? And no one thing makes up for something else. And none of it makes up for an unfathomable pitch that Felix Bautista threw in an 0-2 count against Aaron Judge. Just unconscionable pitch. And, you know, I'm not going to do the bit where suddenly I think Felix Bautista should not be the closer anymore because of one pitch or something like that. But you can't get around it. It's just unimaginable that you would throw a hanging 0-2 splitter right there. A meatball of all meatballs. It's Aaron Judge. If you're frustrated that he's fouled off 2 straight fastballs, throw 4 pitches in the dirt. And I get it, Rizzo's behind him, and Rizzo's a real hitter. I'm not trying to, disparage Rizzo. But Jesus. Aaron Judge. And I know, because somebody would say, you can't possibly think that's the pitch he was trying to make, can you? No, I don't.
But you can't make a pitch
that's
near the strike zone.
That could possibly end up with that being the result of the pitch. If there's any way that the ball that you throw could possibly end there, nope, can't make that pitch. 4 in the dirt and move on. So all of it registers with me. And it was about the suckiest loss that ever did suck. I mean, it was just a wretched night. A really, really, I felt that way last Thursday. This is part of the fact that what comes with the games mattering is that
every single loss is, well, especially,
but more these types of losses.
Yeah, these 1-run losses are gut-wrenching.
More when you have, again, last night you're up 4-0. You have no business losing that baseball game last night. None. And it's so easy to second-guess things, and it's so easy for us to sit back and think about, well, what would have been different if you had just done this? But every element of it ends up, Eddie, and look, if Cedric Mullins hits that ball about, 2 feet further,
then it's a
the
rout.
game's completely broken wide open. I mean, 2 feet further. That's it. And, I'm not mad at Cedric Mullins. He was one of the guys that got the job done for the most part. I mean, I wish he would have caught that ball in center field, but that's a difficult catch to make, and awkward that he kind of had to move around Frazier in order to get to it. It was funny afterwards because Palmer's trying to criticize him because it's a catch Cedric Mullins should make, but yet acknowledging that the only reason why that's the case is because he's Cedric Mullins. You don't have a chance at that if you don't have Cedric Mullins, but because you have Cedric Mullins,
you expect
it should be an out.
Yeah.
Right? That's the reality of it. Difficult night at the ballpark. Just a really, really tough night. Hopefully the Orioles shake out of it. And again, it's 1 loss, and part of our frustration is because the games matter so much, and truthfully because it's the Yankees. If that was, whoever last night, if that was the Guardians next week, it does not register the same way for. If it's the Rangers this weekend, it does not register the same way. It's just infuriating because it's the Yankees. And because it looked like for a little while Kyle Bradish was about to go put together a really nice start. To begin the game, he looked like he was there. And then the third time through the order, as maybe you would expect, it kind of came unglued. And that's a tough thing because if you can't get through a third time of the order, you're going to get 4 innings out of your starting pitcher every time?
I feel like Rizzo just kills us every time. How long's he been a Yankee?
Not that long.
I know, but it feels
years.
like he gets 3 hits every single game.
Maybe. I don't know.
The Yankees play the Orioles.
It's just brutal. All right. Today's show is also brought to you by your local Toyota dealer, buyatoyota.com. The Toyota Tacoma comes in a range of models and trim lines, so you can choose the perfect Tacoma to reflect your unique personality and driving habits. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Tacomas from your local Toyota dealer today. Had to do this a little bit earlier on because he's on the golf course this morning. Our friend Ken Singleton with us here on GCR. CR by an Orioles legend and a man who I could have sworn was retired, but every time I look, the Yankees still list him as working for them. I don't know what's going on with all of that. He is the great sweet swinging Kenny Singleton, and he's back with us now here on GCR. Kenny, it's always great to catch up, man. Thank you for taking the time for us.
No problem, Glenn. Yeah, I am officially retired. I don't know what's up on their website or whatever, but
so you're done. Like you're
not
even.
I'm not tied to a schedule.
Okay, you're not even doing like the 12-game cameo this year, anything like that.
No, nothing. I told the people that I work with, I do miss them. Don't get me wrong. I kind of miss the job, but I don't miss the preparation.
I get it.
I don't miss getting into cities at 3:00 in the morning. I don't miss that stuff at all.
I don't blame you. It really gets in the way of a good golf schedule, doesn't it, Ken?
No kidding.
All right, so with that in mind, if you are officially retired, that means now we can bring you out of retirement to do some Orioles games in the lead up to them winning a World Series, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know about that. I mean, geez, yeah, they do have a good young team. They would be fun to cover, but as I said, I have more fun now, Glenn, watching my grandkids play. My grandson play baseball and basketball, and my granddaughters play soccer. That's what I like.
Where all do they play? Are they around? I think we talked about they're in Jersey, right, Ken?
Yeah, they are in New Jersey, South Jersey. In fact, since I last talked to you, my son has become the high school coach in Haddonfield, New Jersey, baseball coach.
Very
and
cool.
They made the playoffs. They had a great first season, and they won their first playoff game 9-0 for the state championship. And their pitcher pitched a no-hitter. He missed the perfect game by an error.
Wow,
so,
man.
Yeah.
Man.
But I've seen that kid pitch. He's pretty good.
Sort of like John Means missing it because of a pass ball on strike 3 a couple of years ago.
Yeah, that's true.
Ken, are you now? How are you? I think we talked about how you were as a dad with the kids playing sports. Do you second guess him as a coach at all now? Do you ever say like, man, was that the right time to pull that guy from that game? Do you ever do anything like that as a dad of a coach?
No, he has been coaching Little League before this, coaching my grandson's teams. And the last 2 years, they had gotten to the New Jersey Final Four for the state championship for a chance to go to Little League World Series. Unfortunately, they lost both times. But, no, he knows what he's doing. I rarely sit with the parents because I don't want to hear what they have to say because – sometimes Little League parents think their kids should be playing in the big leagues. You understand what I mean. Yeah. And I try to explain to them, your sons or your daughters are playing baseball. They're not baseball players, at least not yet. So that they're still learning the game. Sometimes I think, man, you should go out, Justin, and talk to the pitcher now. He's getting a little bit of a jam. And as soon as that comes to my mindset, he's out of the dugout and going to talk to the pitcher.
How about that, right?
He knows what he's doing. He was a pro himself. He played 7 years in the Blue Jay system. So that's one reason why Haddonfield, New Jersey, it's a small town. They wanted him to take the job. He was kind of reluctant, but he did it because he has another job, his main job, and he's really busy. But he had a great first year, and now they're in the state playoffs. So
that's cool.
We'll see what happens.
Congratulations, man. Kenny Singleton is with us here on GCR. Kenny, what do you make of, from afar, how the Orioles have done this, of turned this organization completely around, committed to this full-on rebuild that I know pissed a lot of people off in baseball because they were just saying, hey, we're going to stink. That's the way it's going to be. But they have certainly come up with the fruits of what this plan has been. What do you make of everything that they've done over the last few years?
Well, they did suffer. There's no doubt about it. I mean, they had some very lean years where they lost over 100 games. But when Mike Elias came in as the general manager, I think he followed the plan that worked in Houston, and it's working here. You have some lean years. You better hit on your draft picks, and it seems like the Orioles have hit on those high draft picks. And particularly Adley Rutschman. I mean, he's going to be one of the best players that the Orioles have ever had. And, certainly I think he's going to be the best catcher they ever had. That's for sure. Mm-hmm. So I just think that they've done a good job. It began to show they finished over 500 last year when people thought they were going to finish last. And now it wouldn't surprise me if they made the playoffs. I think their pitching has been better than what people thought it was going to be. The bullpen, it seems to be lights out at the end last night, notwithstanding. But I just think that they have a good team.
Yeah, that Judge guy is. I guess he's okay. I guess that guy is.
Yeah, well, I think he's. Well, he had a stretch there on the road trip where he hit 7 home runs in 7 games.
Nuts.
You got to remember he was on the IL. He missed 10 games, and he's tied for the league lead in home runs. He's pretty good. Unfortunately, Bautista made a bad pitch,
Terrible.
and I think I know how that happened. That was only the second splitter that he had thrown. Now, the first one he threw was to the previous hitter, Gleyber Torres, and he spiked it. It was in the dirt. It wasn't even near the strike zone. So I guess he tried to make an adjustment, maybe not throw it as hard, and it didn't do as much. He had just thrown 2 fastballs kind of by Judge at 100 miles an hour. He fouled them off, and maybe Bautista and Rushman are thinking, well, maybe we can't get it by him 3 times in a row. So let's trick him. And he threw a splitter that kind of hung, and Judge is going the way he's going right now. You can't throw him anything mediocre. He's just going to hammer it.
Maybe on an 0-2 pitch, it's okay if it's nowhere near the strike zone, Ken.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Maybe it's all right if you spike that
right
one.
There.
Man, yeah.
Glenn, you and I could have hit that.
Well, I couldn't have hit it that far. I'm guessing you still could hit it that far.
Not anymore. No, I can't hit it that far. I'm just saying we could have hit it.
No doubt.
I'm not saying where it would have gone.
It was waiting.
But I'm just saying we would have hit it.
It was waiting right there. There's no doubt about it.
Uh-huh.
Ken, I think there's a lot of conversation now for the Orioles about how you jump from being good, right? Like they are clearly a good baseball team to being a legitimate team that can compete to win a World Series. And I still think that right now, as presented, that's too much to ask of this group. I think you have to have legitimate, I know he wasn't that guy last night, but a Garrett Cole type. I think you have to have top of the rotation legitimate pitchers in order to do that. Is it time for the Orioles to start getting aggressive and start making trades? Like, it seems like it's all there, short of maybe a couple of pieces that can end up being the difference.
Yeah, I agree with you, but I don't think the time is quite right yet because all the teams are involved, maybe with the exception of the Oakland A's, that they're not willing to give up yet.
Well, they don't have anything in Oakland. There's nothing to trade for.
They're done. I mean, they've lost 40 games already. Yeah, my point is that you get a little further into the season, and other teams seem to think that this isn't going to work. We've got some pieces here that people might want, particularly in the pitching. That down the stretch that just before the trade deadline, and that then you pick up somebody. The Orioles certainly have enough pieces in their farm system now to make a decent deal to get a pitcher that could help them. Somebody who maybe not a number 1, but certainly a number 2 or 3 guy who's a legitimate starter who could get the job done for you. I just think that they might be in the mode to do that later on in the season. I still think it's a little early for teams to be saying, "Oh, let's trade this guy, let's trade that."
Right. I get that, and I think that would be the more appropriate time, late June, July, obviously moving towards the trade deadline. Do you think they might still need one more bat? It's easy for us to talk about the pitching, right? Do you think there's a chance? I'll bring up what happened in the 10th inning last night, where you have a runner on second base, and both Santander and Mountcastle strike out, and both guys are good baseball players. But I don't know that either one of them is a traditional middle-of-the-order bat that you're going to count on for. And look, I get there's only one Aaron Judge. I'm not trying to, put it to that standard.
Yeah.
But I do wonder if you still need one more. You had Frazier batting 5th last night, right? Like, I still wonder if you might also need one more bat, middle-of-the-order, real bopper type of bat in order to make that jump from good team to legitimate championship contender.
Yeah, well, I think one thing we have to remember, those type of players, they cost a lot of money.
No question.
You're talking, you got Judge making $40 million. You got most of the other guys who are pretty good making at least 30 to 20, 25 to 30. And I don't know if the Orioles want to make that commitment as of yet. Maybe I think, me personally, I think with the Orioles, as these young hitters like Mountcastle and Rushman, all these guys are going to come about the same time to get paid, if you understand what I mean. That's where it's really going to come to the forefront around for the Orioles if they want to keep all of them. I just think that if you want to be a good team, you watch your guys develop, and they're developing. Don't get me they're getting to be pretty good. Their offense, I'm not worried about their offense. I think they can hit. You're right. They might need one more guy, but if one of these younger guys really has a big year, say, Rushman hits 30 home runs, and Santander, who's already hit 33 last year, hits 30 again. Mountcastle hit near 30 last year. So that's 90 home runs between the three of them. I think you're all right. I don't think their offense is the issue. I think, like you said, they might need another starting pitcher down the road. And if it's not. It depends on how you're thinking here. The Orioles haven't made the playoffs in a number of years. So if they make the playoffs, the fans might say, that's good. We're moving up.
Yep.
We're moving up. But if you want to win it all, you got to have the horses to do it. And you got to have those pitchers like Houston had last year. They just shut people down. And the offense that can hit and score. And the defense that can play defense. The Orioles are pretty good on defense, too. So it's their pitching and, their offense and their defense, I think, is really good. You're right. They might have to add another pitcher.
Kenny, you bring up, guys coming up for money. I know,
Mm-hmm.
look, Adley Rutschman is at the center of everything. I would like for the Orioles to give him $200 million today, right? Like, I'm good with that. But the guy that comes up before that, who I had some questions about, but I am now sold as being a long-term piece for the Orioles, and I think that it would go a long way for them to announce, a 5-6 year, $120 million deal is Cedric Mullins. I am utterly sold on all of the many things that he does. I know he didn't come up with the ball last night, but the range is just insane. It's nonsense, his range. I know his arm's a little weak. He's never going to be the 30-30 guy that he was a couple years ago. That's not fair. But what he does with runners in scoring position, the way that he's improved against lefties, I just think he does so many things. He almost comes off to me as like sort of the heart and soul, what Adam Jones once was. Different type of player, more speed, maybe not the same pop, but I think it's a very similar comparison in what he could do if you were to say, hey, let's sign up. Let's say Cedric Mullins is a part of this thing. I think it could electrify this fan base.
Yeah, I think it would too. I think maybe the 30 home runs, not quite reachable, but the 30 stolen bases definitely.
Yep.
He might steal 60 this year. And that's the way the game is set up now. They want more action on the bases. They've opened up the infield for base hits now, for singles, which helps him. Maybe he doesn't have to concentrate on hitting as many home runs. He's got guys behind him who can hit him. His job basically is get on base and then move himself into scoring position if he can, which he's very good at. I think if you value a player like that with that type of money, somebody at the top of the order who has a little pop too, he could hit 15 to 20 home runs. That wouldn't surprise me at all. But for him to steal 30 bases, I think he'll have close to 30 by the All-Star break. So I think that's not a problem. And you're right, he has range in the outfield. He has that. He kind of reminds me of my former teammate Al Bunbury in a way. Bunbury had good range in the outfield. I mean, he was the fastest guy we had. His arm, Mullins' arm is I hope Al's not listening, but it was better than Al. Al's my golfing buddy now. We play golf. So and he knows it. In fact, we were talking to somebody the other day, and we were talking about playing with each other in the outfield, and I played right, and Al played center, and we discussed each spring training. He said, Singy, if there's a fly ball in between the two of us and somebody's trying to tag up and score, you get it because you got a better arm.
Yeah.
And I said, if there's a ball in the gap that we both have to run down, I said, you get it because you got more speed. So that's you gotta talk out there. And all those years we played together in the outfield, we never ran together, never ran into each other. There was no collisions, and we had a good relationship as far as being able to communicate in the outfield. And I think with Mullins and Hayes and Santander, I think he's better than people think in the outfield. And whoever else the Orioles want to put out there, they've got good outfield defense. Hayes is very good.
Hayes is very good. And then, of course, Santander, maybe you lose a little bit on the range, but his arm is outstanding.
Yeah,
so,
but he's playing right field at Camden Yards, and, it's like covering a postage stamp. He'll be okay.
That's not a bad point at all. Kenny Singleton, I know you got some golf to play this morning, my friend. I always appreciate you taking the time for us. Enjoy it. We look forward to doing it again soon, all right?
Enjoy the season, Glenn.
It's Ken Singleton with us here on GCR. Always appreciate our opportunities to catch up with an Orioles legend. Today's show is also brought to you by your local Toyota dealer and buyatoyota.com. The Toyota Tacoma comes in a range of models and trim lines, so you can choose the perfect Tacoma to reflect your unique personality and driving habits. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Tacomas from your local Toyota dealer today. We'll talk a little more Orioles as the morning goes on. Also, Would You Rather Wednesday scenarios are up at Glenn Clark Radio on Twitter, Facebook.com/Glenn Clark Radio as well. Brought to you by Birdland Sports, your chance to win a T-shirt or other item of your choosing from Birdland Sports today just by participating in Would You Rather Wednesday. However, we're going to switch gears for just a minute right now, as just 2 nights ago, the Denver Nuggets punched their ticket to the NBA Finals for the first time in franchise history. And it's a really neat local story, as I don't know that everybody is aware that their head coach, Michael Malone, was once upon a time a basketball player right here at Loyola. And over the years, I found out that he's developed a bit of a friendship with our next guest. It's always a pleasure to welcome back into the program the current head coach of the Greyhounds. He is our friend Tavaras Hardy, and he's back with us now here on GCR. Coach, it's Glenn. It's always great to catch up. Thank you for taking the time for us.
Glenn, what's happening? Pleasure to be on with you.
Everything is good, man. So tell me about your relationship with Coach Malone. When did it get established, and what does it look like? How close are you guys?
Yeah, I don't want to romanticize it as if we're best friends.
I mean,
but certainly he is aware of what's happening at Loyola University, Maryland, with our men's basketball program. He's excited. He and I text. We try to get together. It's not always easy because of their schedule, but we were out in Vegas at the same time when Santi was going through summer league, and he was out there watching his squad. But yeah, he follows us. I mean, when we went to the championship game, it was he's one of the first people to text. Congratulations and good luck, and letting us know that he was watching and following. He was texting about Santi. I have a former friend or a friend who was a former assistant GM with the Nuggets, and he was in the room draft night, and he said Michael was excited as anyone when Santi was picked. So
that's cool.
He's watching.
That's cool. That's really, really cool. What does it mean to your program, right? As you bring up, Santi obviously, accomplished something that had never happened before in Loyola history, and clearly that means a lot every time you see him on the floor. It's a reminder to kids of what you could accomplish at Loyola. But what is this? Does this register in a way to the kids on your team? Does it matter to them? What does this mean to Loyola basketball to have a former player now 4 games away from an NBA title?
Yeah, it's huge. It's huge for our program. We have Coach Malone's picture up in our locker room, and it is a symbol to show that it can be done, whichever path you take. We have Santi's picture up, Mike Morris, and the guys who were drafted in the NBA. That's all of our players' goals and dreams. They want to reach that highest level, and we show them that it can be done, and people up there care about us and they're watching us. And so what Coach Malone is doing is a true inspiration for all of us.
And somebody would say, hey, well, look, no offense, but anybody could coach Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray and have success. You know a thing or two about the difficulty, even when you have really good players, of finding success. What do you make of the job that Michael Malone has done, and does he deserve more credit than maybe he gets just because it seems like all the attention goes to Jokic because he's a 2-time MVP?
No, and, again, I don't have deep conversations with Coach Malone about these things, but as all coaches, and you can tell in his character, he enjoys the fact that Jokic is getting the publicity that he's getting, that his team is getting what they're getting. He's doing his part. He's been there for 8 years. I was just talking to a couple other coaches, and Monty Williams wins Coach of the Year 2 out of 4 years, and he's been let go. that business is tough up there. And for him to have the longevity that he's had, the sustainability, and he's grinded. People say, "Oh, it's easy," but I mean, he's had to work through a lot of issues with Murray tearing his ACL a while back. Michael Porter
Yep.
Jr. has been in and out a little bit. There's always trades, and so finding that chemistry, building that bond, getting them to where they are today is a huge credit to Coach Malone and his ability to get that culture to mirror what he wants.
He is Coach Tavaras Hardy from Loyola. He's with us here on Glenn Clark Radio. We're talking about former Greyhound Michael Malone, head coach of the Nuggets, headed to the NBA Finals. All right, Coach, I need you to put your analyst hat on. We still think it's going to be Miami, although I guess now it's possible that Boston could do something we've never seen before. I am kind of convinced at this point that Denver is they're a juggernaut, man. Like that maybe if he had a healthy Jamal Murray the last couple of years, they might be going for their second or third title at this point. It doesn't matter who comes out of the East. Are you going to feel like Denver is the team to beat, even beyond the friendship that you have with Coach Malone?
Yeah, I mean, and I do. I like Denver a lot because I like their style of play as well. They do a lot of things that we do in terms of ball movement, player movement, and so it's fun to watch. But I do think from a basketball standpoint, they are the favorite, regardless of who comes out of the East. They've been playing that way all year. But it's basketball, right? Guys can get hot, guys can get going, and the way Jimmy Butler's been playing, if Miami does close out that series, if he keeps that going, he's a threat, and so they'll always be a threat to beat anyone. But I do, the small market team, the Denver Nuggets, knocking out the juggernauts, the Lakers. I think that's great for basketball. I think the combination of all the stories and all the players is good for basketball.
Coach, I'm glad you brought that up because I see people saying like, "Oh, the NBA has got to hate this," and I'm like, "What, new stars? Like that's what they hate? They hate the idea of like there's other people that you might tune into, knowing that LeBron's getting close to 40 and Steph Curry's getting up there. Is that there might be new players that people are encouraged to watch for the next couple of years? Like I'm falling in love with Jimmy Butler during the course of these playoffs, man. Like it's not only fun to watch him play, he's just such an exciting, likable guy, Like I can't it seems like such a dumb thing that everybody says, "Oh, the Lakers lost, so it's got to be terrible for the NBA." No, I think it's a good thing for the NBA for there to be other teams involved and other legitimate superstars that could become bankable commodities for years to come.
Right. And you want good teams who are playing well to be playing for your championships. That's what this sport is all about. And I know the Lakers had made a nice run, but they were up and down all year. The Nuggets have been really consistent, and so I'm happy that they were able to get the opportunity to play for the championship to cap a consistently good season.
Oh, no doubt about it, man. No question at all. So here's the important part: if the Nuggets win the title, how many days do you wait before you send the text saying, "Okay, are you ready to make the $10 million pledge to help us so that we can go out and get all the guys in the NIL or in the transfer portal next season?" Like when do you make that text?
No, it's funny. I haven't even texted him during the playoffs. A few years ago, I think I did, and again, I'm not that naive to think I'm that important that if I text them that they're gonna all of a sudden start playing bad. But I'm not superstitious, but I say I'm kind of stitious.
Yeah, I get it.
And so but yeah, in terms of the congratulating him and making sure he knows that Loyola's here and supporting him, we'll definitely make sure we get that message across.
Yeah, I understand that. I was thinking maybe he could be like I saw Cam was back in the portal recently. Maybe he could be the difference in helping get somebody like that back to Loyola. Do you think it could work out that way or no?
The whole NIL space is interesting. From our standpoint, what we want to build a strong program. What we talk to our guys about is, I'm excited that you can monetize off name, image, and likeness. I think it's fantastic for our student athletes, but we want it to be authentic. We want them to really earn those opportunities, and the pay-for-play side of this business, I think, is not only bad for us as coaches to try to coach those kids after we buy them, which I'm not interested in, But I think it's also bad for the student athletes because it sets up a false sense of reality of what this world is all about. And at some point, when you're done playing college basketball, you're going to have to live a long time, and you're going to have to earn money. You're going to have skills. You're going to have to know how to manage your life. And when you're bought, I just don't think that's helping our young people. So that's my 2 cents on it. But there we have it.
Yeah, I mean, this is the nature of the beast, though. This is so you can't. It's the way it goes, man. I understand exactly what you're saying. Coach, just a minute on your team. I was over there a couple times late in the season. You guys, after what had been a struggle, really put together a good closing stretch. How encouraged were you by that, and what that could mean for this group of players going into next season?
Yeah, I'm really encouraged. We were able to maintain the bulk of our roster, especially the guys that played a lot of minutes that did not exhaust their eligibility. They all came back. We got some guys like Milos Ilic who didn't play last year. Again, I don't want to put too much pressure on anyone, but he's a really, really good player that we missed last year. So adding him back into the fold. Golden DK he decided to come back for his 5th year.
Cool.
So we got Alonzo Fowler. We got great size. And we got the Baltimore guards, Deion Perry, Tyson Commander. They'll grow in their roles. We added D'Angelo Steins from Mount St. Joe's. He was at Old Dominion. He's coming in. He's the first transfer we brought in. So we're expecting big things from him. But we also got great depth. Chris Kazimka played a lot. Dave Brown played a lot. And I love the incoming guys. The incoming freshmen are extremely athletic. So I'm excited about this team. I can go on and on.
Yep.
We've been planning. We're in the planning and analysis phase. We're taking our team to Spain this year.
Cool.
So we have 2 Spanish kids on the roster still, but also obviously Santi coming from over there. We get a lot of love over there as well. And so looking forward to going over there for 9 days. The administration is great, so we're in a good spot. I'm excited about this year coming up.
For folks that haven't seen him, Deion Perry is like literally the definition of a Baltimore guard. I actually went over. I was watching a game one day with my father, and he looked at me for a second. He's like, "That looks like Muggsy," and I said, I get it. Like that, just tenacious, hassling. I'm gonna make your day miserable style of play. It is such a Baltimore guard. Undersized, but somehow you forget it as you watch that dude play. It's unbelievable. He is a lot of fun to watch play, man. I enjoy watching Deion all season long. All right.
I appreciate that.
Coach, appreciate you. We'll have reason to be rooting for the Nuggets moving forward. It's tough because I really do love Jimmy Butler, but I get it, right? And like as a Loyola guy, I'm gonna decide that the Nuggets are my team, and I'm rooting for Coach Malone. Appreciate you spending the time with us. Look forward to chatting again real soon. Enjoy your summer, man. Always appreciate a conversation.
All right, take care, Glenn. Thank you.
It's Tavaras Hardy from Loyola basketball coach there, joining us as, again, it's a neat local story that Michael Malone has led his team to the NBA Finals. Of course, on the other side of things, there is a Baltimore player. Haywood Highsmith doesn't play a lot for the Heat. I don't know how many minutes Haywood Highsmith has played in the postseason. I know he's gotten into some games, but it's not been a ton. But he is on the roster, so on the flip side, there is another local story, a local connection. Much like a year ago, Damian Lee was in the finals of the Warriors. This year, if it ends up being Denver, Miami, there will be local connections on both sides of the conversation. Did you find it?
He's playing about 7 minutes
in the postseason.
Yeah,
it's not nothing
so far. Yeah.
Not nothing.
11 games.
He's there, and Haywood Highsmith's story of how he got there is wild, right? Like he certainly was not the guy that you expected to be a standout in the NBA. So, a neat local story as well. Of course, we don't know after Miami lost last night.
What do you think? It's over?
No, not at all. I'm in a weird place with this where if it's going to play out that way, you would rather have lost Game 3 than lost Game 4, right? Like it just leaves that door open for them to go back to Boston, win a game, and suddenly you start to feel the pressure. Suddenly you're the team that could end up becoming the first team ever to blow a 3-0 series lead. Like, in that weird scenario where it happens this way, because typically if a team goes up 3-0, it's because they won the first 2 games at home. So usually, even if they lose Game 4, no big deal. We're going back home for Game 5, and we'll just close it out there, and we'd rather be at home anyway. This is far more unique than that. We don't see it like this very often. And so when you say, well, hey, no team's ever climbed out of a 3-0 hole in the NBA, it's happened obviously in both the NHL and in Major League Baseball.
I think it was Shaq or maybe it was Charles, but they were saying Jimmy Butler's going to make this game 6 if it goes to a game 6. He's going to make that game 6 a game 7 for the Heat. So
yeah, probably the case. Like I'm certainly not suggesting that I think the Celtics are going to come back. I think it's more unique of a circumstance than the typical scenario in which a team goes up 3-0, because it's almost never the road team that goes up 3-0 in a series. It just doesn't typically work that way. So it's more unique that this would happen, and now you got to go back on the road, and it allows the Celtics at home the opportunity to not only win a game, but now have momentum on their side with back-to-back wins and suddenly start to put the doubt on the other side for Miami. It's far more unique than when a team typically wins game 1 and 2 at home, then game 3 on the road, and even if they lose game 4, no big deal. We'll just go back home and close out the series. It's a far different scenario with it being the lower seed, that's the team that didn't close out in game 4 by the fact that they have to go out on the road. So, again, my expectation is not that the Celtics are going to do this, although the irony of it being a Boston team I was about to use the F word, after the effing Red Sox were the first ever team in baseball to close out. It had happened in hockey before that. God, I mean, just it would be as gross as gross gets if it were to play out that way. God, that would suck. I'll just root for that. I hope that the Heat go win in Boston. They haven't lost a game in Boston yet this series, so I hope they go close it out in Game 5, and it's not something we have to think about. Boy, the NHL series are terribly uninteresting.
Oh, yeah, they're...
God. Like, remember Drew last week was like, we got 2 really good series here. No, we don't. No, we don't. Both are 3-0.
Well, because Drew is betting hundreds of dollars on each, so it is. Yeah. It is. He makes it interesting for himself.
Sure does. God. Dallas goes home and lays all kinds of an egg last night against Vegas. All right, lot to do still on the program today. Our friend Cordell Woodland is going to join us in a bit. We'll go over Would You Rather Wednesday and remind you all that it is a game. It is not analysis. It's just a game. That's all it is. You guys are really struggling.
I think people are playing right today.
No, they're not. It's a game. Big day for Ryan Frazier, obviously. Big day for him because he enjoys this struggle. We play a game here, not an actual... All right, just a reminder. Also a reminder that PressBoxOnline.com/offers is where you need to go right now to get $150 in bonus bets from DraftKings after placing your first $5 bet. See this and other great sportsbook offers right now at PressBoxOnline.com/offers.
The All-America Senior Game powered by New Balance will be back at Johns Hopkins Homewood Field on July 29th. The most decorated girls and boys lacrosse players in the country have been invited to play in what is the premier lacrosse event of the year. Every college coach wants their players in this game, and if you dream of being in this game, you start by trying out for one of your regional underclass teams this summer. The best against the best. Get your tickets now at allamericalacrosse.com.
The Orioles are off and running, out to prove that last season wasn't a fluke, and they are one of the best teams in baseball. Hi, I'm Paul Valley, host of the Bat Around for PressBox. Tune in every Saturday from 10 a.m. to noon as Zach Goodman and I break down every Adley bomb, every Tony Tater, and every save from the mountain. Like a warm hug from Rutschman, the Bat Around has you covered with all things Orioles as we embark on what's sure to be a magical summer in Birdland. So tune in every Saturday for the best in Orioles coverage right here on the Bat Around.
Whether your focus is luxury and comfort, convenience and technologically advanced connectivity, or sporty performance and aggressive styling, we've got the perfect Highlander for you. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Highlanders from your local Toyota dealer today.
Costas Inn has been serving up delicious steamed crabs for over 50 years. Lately, the crabs you want to eat when the weather warms up have gotten harder and harder to get. So get your crab eating game plan in place. Make sure to stick this number on your fridge, 410-477-1975. Call ahead and reserve the size crabs you want. You may be able to walk in, but you may also be disappointed at the size or maybe even get shut out altogether. So call ahead, have a plan, and then arrive on your crab eating vacation. destination. Costas also has delicious crab soup and crab cakes. The Costas Inn at 4100 North Point Boulevard. For more than 50 years, they've been satisfying crab lovers in and around Baltimore.
That first sip. That first bite. Start your day off right with a delicious breakfast at Royal Farms. Choose from a fantastic selection of fresh Royal Farms breakfast sandwiches and top it off with a rich hot cup of the freshest coffee in the world. At Royal Farms, breakfast is available day and night. It's the freshest breakfast in the world. Real fresh, real fast. Royal Farms.
If you need more of Glenn, you can also hear him every Sunday with Rita on 105.7 The Fan. But also, if you need more of Glenn, what's wrong with you?
All right, back in here on GCR. Hey, don't forget, we are giving you the opportunity to go check out all of the area's minor league baseball teams. All you got to do is go to PressBoxOnline.com/contest, and you can register to win 4 tickets to all of the area minor league baseball teams, plus an Easy Pass Maryland on-the-go transponder preloaded with $25 and a $50 gas card from Royal Farms. But again, you got to go to PressBoxOnline.com/contest. That's PressBoxOnline.com/contest. In order to register to win, you must be 18 or older in order to win. Get there right now. PressBoxOnline.com/contest is how you get signed up. The update after we had the conversation yesterday is that the NFL did indeed adopt the kickoff rule. And again, we already had the conversation yesterday, so I don't have a whole lot more to say about it, frankly. It's what it is. I think I did see that the Ravens actually voted against it, in part likely because of the presence of Justin Tucker and their overall kicking strategy and how seriously they take special teams and, the depth of their staff with Randy Brown involved and, who keeps around a punting specialist in Sam Cook. I mean, the Ravens just treat special teams a little bit differently than every other team. They like the strategy of it, and so that's likely the reason why it is they voted against it. Ultimately, my expectation is this is the next step towards I'm going to turn 40 in September. By the time I'm 50, I will assume that there are no more kickoffs in the NFL within 10 years and change. By the time I'm 50,
so
I think the kickoffs will be gone.
They just start on the 25 after every score. So what
was the goofy XFL thing that they did?
It was like they kick off from the 30, like the kicker kicks from the normal spot, and then everybody starts on like not the 20. Yeah, I guess it was like the 25.
10 yards further behind?
They start on the 25-yard line, like on the other side of the field.
What?
So the kicker kicks from the 35 on the far side of the field.
Yeah.
Everybody else is over here. So he kicks the ball, he returns it, and then after the guy catches it, that's when everybody starts running.
I don't understand.
Look up a video of it.
You're not saying this. So
I guess I'm not saying
where do
that right.
your teammates?
Your teammates. The kicker's teammates. There's 10 guys like on like the 30-yard line or something on the like plus 30. So you're kicking off from the minus 30,
on
35.
The opposite 30.
Yeah.
What the hell?
You didn't see any of the videos?
There's zero chance I cared about the XFL. None, and I never will. I'm sorry. I just
look up.
don't have
let me see. Well, I guess finding doesn't help you.
I don't understand this at all because people were talking about the XFL kickoff rule. Like somehow it was.
Well, because less high-speed collisions, I guess, is the point, so that you have guys essentially
flying down.
Yeah,
they're
like starting 10 yards across from each other rather than you have guys starting on the 30 and then you're still running 70 yards down to hit the other guy. So and the I mean, I don't have the exact stats, but it was pretty much the same thing. Is that they could still, I think, wait for a touchback if they wanted, if the ball was being kicked into the end zone, and they were returning it still to about the 25-yard line every time. And occasionally,
it's really hard to make a return when the guys are already down there.
And they were still occasionally getting, a hole would open up, and then.
I guess, right? Like I don't see this as being an answer. It just doesn't interest. It's
if safety is the
right. If that's what you're saying, if this is entirely about safety and you want to at least try this before you get rid of it,
But
sure,
the
by all
NFL, but
means.
since it was the XFL,
Well, yeah, there's certainly no chance they would do it unless at some point they hire someone from the XFL to a job, and then they can, say it wasn't really the XFL, it was just this person that came up with the idea, and this person works for us now. Whatever. It just doesn't do anything. Like, you just be doing it to do it for me. Like, okay, sure. If you want to do it, I don't think it's a good play. I don't think it's fun. I don't think it's interesting. It's just something else. That's all it is. So if you want to do it, God, knock your socks off. Go ahead and give it a shot. It's just, I don't think it's going to change anything ultimately. I think kickoffs are going to be gone, and that's
and then so to replace onside kicks, maybe inside 2 minutes you get the option.
Yeah, well, they wanted to do that
not
anyway.
In the fourth quarter.
They've been flirting with the 4th and 25 was their idea, and I said before, I'm fine with that if you do it going into the end zone. I'm just not okay with it in the open field because it allows one receiver to get behind somebody and convert the play. We
would like that. We got Zay Flowers.
Sure. Make it an actual. It should not be easy to, and I get it, 4th and 25 isn't easy, but do it going into the end zone because it takes away the ability for somebody to just get behind the defender and that be that. Make it very difficult. You've got to convert. I said this every time. You want to get away or get rid of onside kicks by all means. Just make sure you keep how difficult it is. Don't make it gimmicky. We don't want it to be easier for teams to get multiple possessions at the end of the entirety of the game is supposed to matter, not just the final 4 minutes of the game. Make it very difficult, 4th and goal from the 25 if you want to try to go ahead and convert that. And if they convert it, then they get the ball back at their own 25-yard line. If they don't convert it, then the other team gets the ball at their 25-yard line. Not all that difficult to figure out. It makes it so that the only scenario by which you're going to try it, you'd be getting rid of surprise onside kicks, right? Like, that would be gone forever in football. But how many surprise onside kicks do we see in the course of an entire NFL season? 3?
Do we ever see maybe 3? I mean, I feel like it's
obviously
once.
Famously we saw it in the Saints Super Bowl win.
Yes.
So we think about that because it was significant. But we just don't. It's not a play that matters in football, the surprise onside kick. So whatever, yes. Do the offensive play, but as I said all along, don't do it from your own 25-yard line. Do it from the opposing 25-yard line. And if they get it, then bring them back to their own 25-yard line and let them start a drive from there. That's the way that it goes.
Yeah,
but I just think that the writing is on the wall. The things that we've learned this week are the writing is on the wall for ultimately the NFL to get rid of kickoffs and for ultimately the NFL to go even further in telling you how little the fans in the stadium matter to what it is they're doing as a league. I think that's what we've learned this week, and, that's what it is. You're going to watch. The freaking, by the way, I just saw, do you know that the Yankees game tonight in New York is only on Amazon Prime? Like, it's not on TV in any way? And apparently they do this with a handful of games.
So Yes is only on?
No. The Yankees don't, this isn't on Yes tonight. They go off of Yes for a certain number of their games.
I did not know that.
They only run them on Amazon Prime, and you have to be geographically located within the New York, market area. I don't know what the Yankees get.
If they're not blacking out anything, then I think this is a really good.
What do you mean if they're not blacking out anything?
Well, with MLB TV, you can't watch Orioles games here.
This is
you can't watch your hometown team.
Right, but you can watch it. You can watch him streaming on MASN. You can watch the Orioles.
Yeah,
yes.
I mean, I think getting away from cable. I mean, I think that's.
Well, where everything ultimately is going to go. Like right now, it's a handful of games. At some point in the future, it will be all of the games.
Right now it seems inconvenient because you have to have 2 things set up. You have to be able to have Yes and
correct.
Amazon Prime. But once, I guess, I don't know. I mean, I guess.
Well, I think some Orioles fans were struggling with Apple on Friday night, but they offered you a 7-day free trial or whatever. So
just don't be on Apple again.
Well, or you just need to create a new email address. Like somebody would say, well, I already used my 7-day free trial of Apple last summer when the Orioles were on there. So start another email address. That's not hard. I'll go sign up, Big Balls 42 at Gmail or whatever. Just register another email address and get another 7-day free trial.
I fortunately have 10 from when I was like 12 and I was trying to get Adam Jones in the All-Star game.
Are you serious?
Yes. I made like 10 emails so I could vote, like
you're allowed to make
times.
11, right? Like, there's not a limit to how many email addresses you're allowed
You're
to
disappointed
have.
I didn't keep going?
Well, I'm saying if you needed to watch your Apple TV for free to watch the Orioles game, you can just create another email address.
Well, I just have 10 emails, in the holster right now.
But okay, so you just keep using those?
Yeah. They're all called Orangey 20, like 1 through 10.
What is that? What is that?
I don't know. That was just the way it it worked out.
God. All right. Hour number 1 of today's show is in the books. Orangey.
It worked because Adam Jones was in the All-Star.
What is it?
What? Orangey?
Yes.
It was just the word that I guess like the Google and myself randomly came up with.
You were 10. I'm not even going to attempt to try to figure out. My son's about to be 10. I'm 2 years away from having a 10-year-old. What a nightmare my life is.
Congrats.
I was thinking about when I said I'm only 10 years away from being 50. That really hit me hard. Like, oh, God, it is all over, man. That's just what I'm dealing with around here. Sorry, I might need to see a therapist after today's show. Hey, if you haven't picked up the new print issue of Press Box, you should go get it right now. On the cover, you find an illustration of Jackson Holliday as we dive into the pipeline of talent that still exists for the Orioles even after the arrivals of Adley Rutschman, Gunnar Henderson, and Grayson Rodriguez. Still an overwhelming amount of talent to come for the Birds. Go read about that right now in the new print issue of Press Box. Only available for another couple of weeks until we'll have a new issue out. I think about 3 weeks remaining on this one before the new issue hits stands. So go pick it up for free at your neighborhood Royal Farms, any of the hundreds of locations around town where you find Press Box, or read it all at PressBoxOnline.com. No Drew today. He will be in tomorrow, unfortunately. It's just the way it goes. We will, I guess, talk a little bit about Brooks Koepka winning the PGA. Also, Drew has like an odd obsession with the attendance at Preakness over the weekend, so I haven't talked about it all this week. I just don't care all that much, but we'll get into it with Drew tomorrow because he, for whatever reason, cares desperately about it. So this man had a nice little trip out to L.A., got to watch the Lakers get swept. That was fun. I don't know. I think he's a Lakers. Is he? I don't even know if you're a Cordell, are you a Lakers fan?
I'm not. I'm actually a Heat fan. So I'll be.
Wait a second.
Hopefully my team ends up in the finals.
Why are you okay, wait. Is this just because the Wizards stink that you're a Heat fan? What's the story on that?
Okay, so I was brought up a Bullets fan. And when the Bullets changed their name to the Wizards, I had to go.
That's what did it?
What is that?
Not the fact that they've been a garbage franchise, just the name change.
That too. That was a big part of it too. And then AI got into the league. I was a big time Hoya fan, and once Allen Iverson got in the league, I was pretty much a fan of wherever he went. And then when he retired, I had to figure out, I wanted a home base. And so I was always a fan of D. Wade because I got to see him a lot at Marquette and Big East basketball. So really, I've been a Heat fan ever since Allen Iverson retired.
All right, I guess. I don't know, man. I guess. I mean,
anything is better than the Wizards.
Well,
I can't be
understanding about that. I actually was thinking about whipping up a Would You Rather Wednesday scenario today that would involve, like, imagine you're a Wizards fan. Well, first, imagine there are Wizards fans. Like,
right.
It would be where that would have started. But then I just realized it was too unbelievable to consider that there would be a Wizards fan, so I couldn't do it. Like, I can only press so much when it comes to Would You Rather Wednesday. All right, he's Cordell Woodland.
I know a few, but they're
no, you
not
don't.
happy.
No, you don't. I refuse to believe that you know an actual Wizards fan. He's
Cordell
Woodland, 105.7 The Fan. He's back with us here on GCR. Look, I don't really care one way or the other. I'm the wrong person for this Lamar Jackson conversation because I don't give a rat's ass if somebody is at OTAs or not. As I said all along, do I think it can hurt? Nope, I don't. I don't think it hurts that someone shows up. Do I think that it helps? I think that's wildly overblown. I don't think there's any. I let Florio come on yesterday and rage about the fact that, hey, Pat Mahomes showed up for OTAs last year and Aaron Rodgers didn't. Okay, true. But now go back and do all the rest of the years and tell me with certainty that the only quarterbacks that win Super Bowls are the guys that show up for OTAs because somehow OTAs are what makes the difference. Do I think it's a good thing that he's there? Yes. I mean, I do. I certainly don't think it's a bad thing, but I sure as F wouldn't care if he wasn't. Where are you with this entire thing?
Right next to you.
Yeah.
Standing right next to you, because I have not lost a second of sleep about the fact that he missed voluntary football school. That, to be honest, I think it just came out of nowhere. It came, the football school thing just kind of just popped up. And so I didn't expect him to be there, but I see people were upset about that. He misses the first day of OTAs. Again, who cares? Because he's there today. What's funny, Glenn, because you mentioned people like Florio bringing up Mahomes, and other people will continue to bring up all these guys that are at OTAs. People don't understand. Like you said, it doesn't guarantee you a Super Bowl, because if it did, Lamar would have multiple.
Right.
Because he's been to multiple OTAs. Last year was the only time he missed it, and every other year before that, he's been there. So I figured he'd be there this year. I expected him to be there, but like it's great if he's there because, there are a lot of reasons for him to be there, but I'm also not losing any sleep about him not being there at all. Look, Mark Andrews isn't there. Is anybody going to convince me that Mark Andrews isn't locked in when he does show up? I don't think so. J.K. Dobbins, who's entering the most pivotal year of his career to this point, isn't there either. He may be there today, but he wasn't there Monday. So, I think it's just the optics. Sure, I'll give people that. The optics may not look that great because he did just get his contract and people are like, well, where is he now? I could get with that. But let's not pretend like him not being there is damning the season. It's not. It's just giving people giving people something to talk about in May, because in all actuality, there is nothing to talk about.
Yeah, you're bored. Right, correct. You're bored. You want there to be football to talk about. There's no football to talk about.
Right.
So let's try to pretend like there's some sort of controversy that doesn't exist. And that's the way it goes. That being said, I guess there is the question of, like, do we need to see where Lamar is as far as, are we convinced that the injury is no longer a part of the conversation, that he is definitely 100% good to go? Like, is there an interesting part of that for us to learn over the course of the next few weeks?
Not really for me. The injury happened a while ago, and, the last time we talked to Lamar, who actually will be speaking today, it sounds like, but the last time we talked to him after he signed his new deal, he said he had been cleared for a couple of weeks to resume all football activity. So I think he's probably good to go right now. I'm kind of expecting him to come out. Like, remember last year he didn't show up to OTAs, and when he showed up to minicamp, he was very sharp. He was very sharp, and you could see the difference in the offense once he showed up out there. So that's kind of what I'm expecting today. I'm kind of expecting it to be business as usual. There will be hiccups because it's May, and, they're learning a new system, and this is just a part of the off-season training. But, yeah, in terms of his health and injury, I think he's probably good to go right now.
All right, so now as someone who's got to cover these, because I have the delight of not having to do this anymore in my life. I don't have to pretend like any of this matters. As someone who does have the responsibility where you have to cover these things, what do you actually think you could learn? What is interesting to you when you go out to watch the Ravens run around in OTAs?
Well, considering that this is a new offensive scheme, I am curious to see what it looks like. I'm curious to see if we're going to get some, and I don't doubt that we will, but I want to see what it looks like. Some of the things that Todd Monken mentioned, spacing, tempo. I want to see where he's lining guys up. I want to see the creativity and some of the things that they're doing out there, especially in the red zone drills, because I think that's where they have to take a huge step forward. They have to be – you go back to 2019, they were so dominant in the red zone, and it's escaped them ever since then, to be honest. So I want to see the creativity on the offense. I want to see guys like Zay Flowers being able to get the ball in isolation situations, being able to get the ball in space to be able to make a guy miss, and make something happen after the catch. Obviously, it'll be tough to see what they are able to do in the full scale of things because it'll be limited to no contact right now, no contact actually during this portion. So I'm just trying to get a feel for the way that they line up, some of the route schemes that they're doing to see how it'll translate as the season goes on. Because the last few years, their offense has, but it's kind of, as the year goes on, it's like slowly dying. So I want to see if this is an offense that can sustain not just the regular season, but the postseason as well.
The only thing that, like, to me, and I don't even know who all's, like, so I'm saying this, and it's probably more relevant for training camp than it is for right now. I would be a little bit interested in sort of who's out there in the secondary. I'm assuming that Rock Yassin is here to start because, like, who the hell else would be here to start? But is there a world in which, you're lining up and you've got all sorts of confidence in Jalen Armour-Davis for whatever reason? Like, that's the only area where it seems like there's a question about, like, personnel-wise. I mean, I guess you could say defensive line, but I think we're just assuming they're going to rotate through all those guys this season, so it kind of doesn't matter who's necessarily the first out there. But as far as starters are concerned, that would seem to be the one area to me where there might be a little bit of interest.
Yeah, I mean, and especially at the safety spot for me, because where's Kyle Hamilton lining up majority of the time? Harbaugh said that they wanted to get him back at the safety, at a traditional safety spot. But I don't know if that's going to be able to happen this year. And really, once we talked to Harbaugh at the rookie minicamp, he said Brandon Stevens, who last year, remember, they said he was more cornerback safety. This year now he's safety/corner again. So how much is Brandon Stevens in the back of the defense this year with Marcus Williams and Kyle Hamilton back in that nickel spot? I do wonder how much they're going to blend that in. So, yeah, I am curious about the rotation in the secondary for sure. And Jalen Armour-Davis, him and Pepe Williams, I think that they are still going to be in a rotation. Armour-Davis, I think he is very intriguing to them. Like, the injuries aside, that's definitely a problem. And even production at a point last year, especially in that New England game where he got benched. But I think that he is still intriguing because you look at him, he has the metrics to be able to play each and every Sunday. Can he stay on the field? So last year he struggled to just to make it through practices, health-wise. So can he do that again this year? If he can, I think he can get himself a spot in the rotation.
Hey, I want to play Would You Rather Wednesday with you, but let me squeeze in one just Orioles related. That obviously was brutal last night. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
And I just don't know that there's a big picture. Like I think that what's really happening, Cordell, is that, like, the games matter so much that we've created more emotion related to every single game, which is obviously a wonderful thing to experience in comparison to when the games didn't matter whatsoever. But I don't think Felix Bautista hung a bad pitch. It was terrible. It was unconscionable, the pitch that he threw in that situation. The worst closer in baseball shouldn't make that pitch. More or less one of the best closers in all of baseball. I don't think that leads to a conversation about roles, anything along those lines. I think it's just one game, one pitch. You want to have it back. You shake it off. You hope you get the opportunity to put him back out there in the ninth inning tonight and have him move on from it, right?
Honestly, yeah. I mean, I'm not ready to do any role changes. Like you said, it was a terrible pitch. To me, I think the decision really needs to come into play on, are you even pitching to him in that moment of the game? Aaron Judge has bitten the Orioles way too many times. You remember earlier in the year, he hurt the Orioles at Camden Yards, and they had an opportunity to where, I'm sitting there like they should walk him. And they did the same thing with Ohtani the other day, when I think the first game of that series where Ohtani is about to hit for the cycle. It's like, it's no shame in trying to avoid these types of players in that moment of the game. If it's really about winning, there's no shame in trying to avoid those guys. They're great. We're talking about the best players in the league. So, and you avoid them because even though as Felix Bautista is as great as he is, he's still human. And he can make a mistake pitch. And you saw it last night, and you see what happens when you throw a mistake pitch to a guy like Judge. Or you throw a mistake pitch to a guy like Ohtani. You just can't do it in that moment of the game. And, I'm not ready to do any type of role switches, but the Orioles are in a unique situation to where, they have the options to kind of just flip-flop he and Cano whenever they see fit. So even if they did decide, you know what, maybe we want tonight to have Felix be the setup guy and Cano close us out. Like, I think that they could do that on an every other type of situation if they wanted to. I wouldn't lose any sleep about it as long as it works. But if we're talking about going forward, I'm not ready to say that Batista can't be the closer
It's
anymore.
funny.
He's too good.
Cordell, I made the argument for that. Like, hey, look at the guys that are in the lineup. And if the part of the lineup that's coming up that you just see that Batista dominates those guys, well, then put him in the 8th inning, right? Use him that way.
Right.
But I had Ben Verlander make the argument back for me that for whatever reason, you can do that with your 8th inning guy can be used at any point in the game. And I said last week that in the 4th inning of the game against the Angels, that's when Cano should have been in the game because the game was at stake in the 4th inning when Grayson Rodriguez was in trouble in Game 1 of that series. You can do that with your 8th inning guy, but he made the argument that your 9th inning guy, you can't do that to them without it coming off like a demotion. And you don't mess with that until you're confident that they're no longer that guy. And I can't prove that. I don't have any statistics that back it up, but it sounds so smart to me that I've said, no.
Right.
You know what? Like, I think there's something to be said for that. Like, once you're in the 8th inning role, you're the leverage guy. So if the leverage moment is in the 4th inning, the 5th inning, or heck, Cano's not going to pitch tonight because he went 2 innings last night. If Batista pitches the 9th inning tonight, then he's not going to be available tomorrow. Cano becomes your 9th inning guy tomorrow, right? If you get into that situation, he can handle that. But for Batista, once you become the closer, once you become that guy, I don't mess with it any longer. Like, he's your 9th inning guy. Use him that way and use Cano. Like, the bigger problem I had last night was in the 5th inning. Why do you feel the need to have Kyle Bradish work his way through that? You were clearly willing to do extreme things with your bullpen last night. You let Cano pitch for 2 innings. Why not go get Bradish when he's in trouble and say, this 3rd time through the order is not working out. Let's get out of this inning, reset, hope that Givens can give us 2 in the 6th and the 7th. I just, it's a weird sort of obsession with letting these starters work out of trouble when the game, I get it. Like, I don't want to go into a game and say I need 5 innings out of my bullpen tonight. But if that's what it requires to win a game, I am not going to be bullish about having to have the starter go through another inning.
And I think that's the balance Brandon Hyde is fighting because, he's got one of the more taxed bullpens in the league.
No question.
So, you'll hear people say, well, they're taxed because he's going out there to get the starters as soon as they get into trouble. And then it's a situation last night to where it's like, okay, he's trying to let Bradish work through it, but it doesn't necessarily end up working, and it comes back to bite him. So I think that's just the decisions you have to live with as a manager. I think it's kind of it should be based on a player-by-player basis because I'm not letting Dean Kramer work himself out of trouble too often. Because once the dam breaks, it's over in the situations where he's in those types of scenarios. Bradish, similar. Not as bad to me as Kramer can be when he gets into trouble, but similar. And we've seen it with Grayson as well. I mean, and that's why I still believe they need a veteran pitcher in this rotation.
No question.
Because as good as these guys have been as of late, they're still young. They're still figuring it out on the fly. And the Orioles right now, to me, I'm buying in that they are at no less than a playoff team.
Yep. So
if you're going to get to the playoffs, you're going to need to have somebody that's navigated through that territory before, somebody that's been there before. And they, I get they've got a couple of veteran guys on this roster, but they need somebody that, that they can trust not only just for the regular season, but for the most important time of the year, which is October.
All right, Cordell, I'm going to have you play Would You Rather Wednesday because you're with us today. Would You Rather Wednesday is brought to you by Birdland Sports. I'm guessing you don't watch Succession by chance, do you, Cordell?
I don't.
Okay, that's fine. I got 3 for you anyway. All right, number 1. Would you rather? Now, again, do not tell me, I don't think the Angels would make this trade. This is a game. Would you rather? And I ran it through MLB trade values and made it work. The Orioles deal Austin Hayes, DL Hall, and Connor Norby for a Shohei Ohtani rental, or, as fun as that sounds, a rental still doesn't make sense for this team right now, and you shouldn't do it.
I do it. I would do it. I would do it. For, obviously, the on-field situation, because you instantly become like a legit contender if Shohei Ohtani, because that fixes your starting pitching problem. and it gives you a bona fide stud in your lineup. Another one. I would say that if adding Ohtani to the lineup gives me at least 3 guys in my lineup that I know for a fact are going to make an impact on the game every night. That's him, Adley, and Mullins. I'm doing it regardless of whether it's a rental or not.
All right.
To be honest with you.
All right.
And I think from the business standpoint, yeah, even if it is a rental, you can't tell me ticket prices wouldn't have like a 200% increase if Ohtani.
It'd be absurd. By the way, the bigger those of you that are arguing with me about the cost of the trade, the part that you're ignoring is the Angels are 27 and 23. There's absolutely zero reason to think that they're looking to move Shohei Ohtani at the moment. But we spare that. It's
right.
Would You Rather Wednesday. Number 2, would you rather have the career of Carmelo Anthony, 3 gold medals, certain first ballot Hall of Famer, but never an NBA title, or the career of Kyle Lowry, who will almost certainly end up in the Hall of Fame with 1 gold medal, 1 title for now, maybe another one this season?
Wow, that's a tough one. What do I value more, personal accolades or championships? I mean, honestly, that's really what it boils down to. I would still say probably Melo, just because his impact on the game will be felt more than Kyle Lowry's impact. I think when 20 years from now, people will remember Carmelo Anthony before they remember Kyle Lowry. And that, to me, would be more impactful. I'm as big as I am on rings. It's not the end-all, be-all. My favorite player of all time is Allen Iverson, who never won a ring. So I'm not a part of this ring culture that thinks that if you don't win a ring, you're not a great player. I would have to take Melo.
And then number 3, would you? I don't know how much you care about these things. It's a Memorial Day weekend, so it's a big cookout weekend.
Okay.
Would you rather a health problem causes you to never be able to eat hot dogs or sausages ever again in your life, or a health problem causes you to never again be able to eat corn on the cob or any other corn for the rest of your life?
I love me some corn on the cob. I love corn in general, but I'm going to have to take the corn one because I can't go to a cookout and not get a hot dog. I mean, come on. I mean, and I love the sausage links for breakfast and stuff, like maple sausage and stuff. So yeah, if I couldn't eat like sausage or bacon or something like that, I'd be insufferable. So yeah, I'll lose.
Well, you can still have bacon. I didn't take bacon off the table by any stretch of the imagination. I just said specifically hot dogs and sausages. So I wouldn't even take breakfast sausages off the list. Although yes, I'm getting very specific. What would this health scenario be that would prevent one? But deal with it. It's a game. We're playing a game here. I'm not taking breakfast sausage off the table either.
Yeah, even losing hot dogs. I can't go to a cookout and not get a hot dog. I'll lose out on the corn.
At Cordell Woodland, Cordell Woodland on Twitter is how you follow him. And when we hearing you the rest of the week, man?
I'll be on, actually, the rest of the week. I'll be on tonight, thanks to the Lakers getting swept. I'll be on from 7 to 9. So 7 to 9 tonight, 7 and 8 to 8 tomorrow, and then I believe 7 to 9 on Friday as well.
Very good. Appreciate you, brother. Thanks for hopping on with us. We'll talk soon, all right?
Yes, sir. I'll talk to you.
Cordell Woodland, 105.7 The Fan, with us here on GCR. All right, quickly, let's go over our answers for Would You Rather Wednesday. Again, the trade that I came up with MLB trade values. I get it. I understand the response. It's part of the reason why I went ahead and did it.
Yeah, throw in Ryan McKenna, too. And
again, you're not going to throw in Ryan McKenna.
And
you don't get to do that.
I'm ready.
You're making the trade. I'm in a weird place because it's such a
the calculator's broken, by the way. I mean,
well, no, the calculator's not broken. It's a rental
for
player. That's the reality. You're only getting a couple of months of Ohtani. That's the part that you don't want to. Everybody wants to just see Ohtani, and that's all you want to think about. You don't want to consider the other side of it. I do think most people are right that you're going to be able to get more for Ohtani if you ultimately trade Ohtani. I think that's probably true. But remember what the trade was that got Manny Machado for a rental. Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing.
You got Dean Kramer.
You couldn't even get Gavin Lux in that deal.
Dustin May was almost in it, right?
Yeah, there was conversation about Dustin May. They said nope. Nothing. Zip. We got to remember that rental players are still rental players even when they're Shohei Ohtani. It's a very difficult thing for me because I'm the guy that says you can't trade for a rental player this year. It makes no sense. But then you say, but what if it was Shohei Ohtani? Do I really think that you're Shohei Ohtani away from winning a World Series? No, but I can create a scenario where, and it's why this was so intriguing to me as I was building the trade. Well, you could live without these guys.
It's almost like you're trading for Colton Cowser too, because once you ship out McKenna, you have to call up Cowser.
Cowser goes into the mix. You're not getting rid of McKenna. Stop trying to get rid of McKenna. Stop it. You're doing a bit. You're like, I could live, I could survive. It's not the end of the world until, again, DL Hall goes somewhere else and turns out to be Kevin Gausman, right? Like until then you're like, wow, we didn't really get anything for our
Kevin
rental.
Gausman wasn't Kevin Gausman until
I understand that.
He became Kevin.
Just shut up for a second. Jesus Christ. It's exciting. It seems like it's worth doing. I still can't do it. And I'm basically the only one. I'm basically the only person.
I mean, you're crazy.
I can't acquire a rental player. I can't give up anything for a rental player right now.
He's the offensive MVP
I
and the Cy Young
Griffin
in one.
He's still here for you. Either have to win a
World
World
Series,
Series
bat and the best
is,
pitcher on the team.
Thank you. What is the point if you don't win a World Series?
I mean, I guess he gives us a much better chance
of what?
Of winning a World Series.
Understand that. I don't think you're a Shohei Ohtani away from winning a World Series.
Some people think we can win the World Series with this roster.
I understand that. Trevor Plouffe was talking about that. We try him. What happened with that?
Working on it.
All right. Very good. Number 2. Would you rather Carmelo Anthony or Kyle Lowry?
I mean, yeah, definitely Melo. I think. Yeah,
I think it's
a more.
I think it's easy to say that because he's more famous.
Is Lowry a Hall of Famer?
Oh yeah, 100%. Like, and it's something that I had to go. There's the I think it's Basketball Insiders does the predictor, and they had him at like 86. Like it's a near certainty that he's
like
in the
all
Hall of
time.
Fame.
Like
no, like they have a
the score.
100.
The score. Okay,
they like out of 100.
Got it. Yeah.
And by the way, they only had Carmelo at like a 93 or something like that. They only had Kyle Lowry 7 points behind Carmelo, which is kind of wild. No, I like, and I did like again. That was sort of surprising to me as I looked at it. I was like, really? But you got to look at who gets into the Hall of Fame because the standard is there's not as many players in the NBA as there are in other leagues. Like you're a 6-time All-Star that won an NBA title and a gold medal. You kind of in at that point. Like that's the way that it works.
Yeah, I mean, I still lean Melo, definitely, just because. I mean,
I think
seems like he had a more fun career, I guess. I don't know if
did he though? Like he was more famous. I think that's the part that we're struggling with.
Yeah, it comes down to
do
you want to be famous or do you just want to be, kind of a little bit fly under the radar NBA?
I understand Cordell's point that it's not as simple as titles or nothing, right? Like it doesn't invalidate Allen Iverson's career that he never won a title. But again, like if the difference is you're going to be a Hall of Famer one way or the other, there's nothing like the only thing that Carmelo did that Kyle Lowry didn't do is win an NCAA title, right? Like, and I'm not saying that's nothing. That's significant.
Yeah, I mean, that's
he won Kyle Lowry got a gold medal and an NBA title. Like he tasted all of that. Now, did he carry a team to one of those things? No. Carmelo didn't either. He only carried a team to an NCAA title. It's a tough thing where like I know why, and it's been split. It's been more Melo than Lowry, but it feels like it's more. But to what Cordell's point was, his cultural relevance, that he's more famous than Kyle Lowry is. So we just say that's the answer. But would Carmelo say, I would give it up to have won a championship? I don't know.
That's a good question.
I don't know. Like, it'd be interesting to ask him that question. Like, would you have, like, if you got to keep a gold medal, would you give up the other couple of gold medals and the scoring title and some of your cultural relevance in order to have won an NBA title? Somebody brought up the fact that, like, you don't ignore that Kyle Lowry is beloved in an entire country. Like, he has an entire country where he is an icon and a hero.
With Toronto,
yeah. Right? Like, I don't know how much that would matter to me if I wasn't planning on going back and living in Toronto. Like, if I was planning on going back and living in Toronto, that's probably a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, I mean, Kyle Lowry, whenever he, I was going to say retire. I didn't want to say fizzles out of the league, I guess.
Right.
But whenever he retires, I mean, he's going to be pretty quickly forgotten, I kind of feel like.
Unless he goes on TV.
Unless he goes on TV.
Like, what do you mean forgotten?
I don't know. I mean, he's not going to be when we're doing NBA tidbits, he's never going to be an answer.
No, probably not. But I don't know if that's what
Mello will be.
Boy, gee gosh golly, gonna be a real shame that I don't get brought up on the tidbit on Glenn Clark Radio. All I gotta do is look at my championship ring or rings.
Well, the answer is Mello.
instead.
The answer is Mello.
Number 3.
What was number 3?
Corn or sausage?
I'm with Cordell. I mean, a hot dog at the cookout.
This is my problem with this answer. And by the way, somebody gave the correct answer as. Oh, we gotta grab a break. Oh God, we're so far behind. We have to take 2 more breaks, too.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Patrick, my colon would thank me for giving up sausages and hot dogs. There are plenty of other meats. Nothing like grilled sweet corn covered in butter and Old Bay. Now, I actually don't even put butter on it. I just put Old Bay on it, but I get it. It spreads better if you put butter on it, too. You can't replicate that. You can't say, well, I'll just eat zucchini. It's not the same thing.
I still get popcorn.
What do you mean?
I still get popcorn. Yeah, it was corn on the cob was the...
Yeah, corn on the cob or off the cob. Like, you can't cheat your way around, finding... Somebody would be like, well, I'll just cut it off the cob, and then I won't... No, that was my point. Like, you can't do that. I can have a burger. I can have some chicken off the grill and have a wonderful time. Now, I love sausage. Go ahead. You can isolate it and play. I don't care. I'm a sausage man.
130.
Yeah. I love sausage. But I can have other things off the grill and have a wonderful time. I can't replicate the joy of sitting down and having sweet corn slathered in Old Bay. That can't be recreated in any other sort of way. So as much as it's going to suck, because as I just said, I love sausage, I can't give up. I can't give up corn. I can't do it. There's nothing like it. There is nothing like it. God, the number of years of corn I'm going to consume this summer. No fewer than 50. No fewer than 50.
So you say in 10 years when I'm 50.
What?
Is the corn going to kill you?
No, I don't think so.
You make 50?
What?
Is the corn going to kill you?
Why would corn kill me?
I don't know. I mean, you just said you're going to eat 50 years worth of corn.
No, 50 ears.
Oh,
ears of corn.
Are we taking a break?
Gregg Rosenthal next. It's Glenn Clark Radio.
What air conditioning company can save 50% of your energy cost and qualify you for up to $7,500 in rebates? A.J. Michaels. We do more, we do it better for less. In Baltimore and Annapolis, ajmichaels.com.
The latest edition of Press Box is available now. On the cover, Luke Jackson looks at the pipeline of talent still to come for the Orioles, diving in on last year's #1 pick Jackson Holiday and other top prospects like Colton Cowser, Heston Kjerstad, Kobe Mayo, and more. Also inside, Todd Karpovich profiles Orioles pitcher Kyle Gibson, and Bo Smolka breaks down what progress would mean for the team's 2022 draft picks in their second pro season. Press Box is available for free at over 500 area locations, including 60 Royal Farm stores, and you can always find the entire edition as well as the best daily coverage of the Orioles, Ravens, and Terps at PressBoxOnline.com.
The All-America Senior Game powered by New Balance will be back at Johns Hopkins Homewood Field on July 29th. The most decorated girls and boys lacrosse players in the country have been invited to play in what is the premier lacrosse event of the year. Every college coach wants their players in this game, and if you dream of being in this game, you start by trying out for one of your regional underclass teams this summer. The best against the best. Get your tickets now at allamericalacrosse.com.
Costas Inn has been serving up delicious steamed crabs for over 50 years. Lately, the crabs you want to eat when the weather warms up have gotten harder and harder to get. So get your crab eating game plan in place. Make sure to stick this number on your fridge, 410-477-1975. Call ahead and reserve the size crabs you want. You may be able to walk in, but you may also be disappointed at the size or maybe even get shut out altogether. So call ahead, have a plan, and then arrive on your crab eating vacation. Costas also has delicious crab soup and crab cakes. The Costas Inn at 4100 North Point Boulevard. For more than 50 years, they've been satisfying crab lovers in and around Baltimore.
Make the most out of every day in your Toyota RAV4. Available in hybrid or gas-only models. A RAV4 can get you where you want to go in style. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new RAV4s from your local Toyota dealer today.
Check out PressBoxOnline.com every day to find daily winners and betting advice from Jeremy Kahn. And if you want some advice about life decisions that you probably shouldn't make, here's Glenn Clark.
All right, back in here on GCR, 50 years of corn. 50 years. That's my guy. That's my guy, Griffin. Today's show brought to you by PressBoxOnline.com/offers. PressBox is offering new sports bettors the best sign-up bonuses and promos from 7 legal online sports books. Go to PressBoxOnline.com/offers now and get offers from like $150 in bonus bets from DraftKings after placing your first $10 bet, or up to $1,250 in bonus bets from Caesars. Time is limited to get the best offers from all of the sports books. Go to PressBoxOnline.com/offers and sign up today. He is our friend Gregg Rosenthal, NFL Network, NFL.com, and most importantly from the, I guess, probably former podcast, Courts of Thunder, and he's back with us now here on GCR. What's going on, bud? How are you?
What? It's good. I miss you, Glenn.
I miss you too, pal. I'm in a weird place where I know that I don't really have the time to do this either, but I just kind of like hanging out with you and talking tennis. So, like, I am still at some point next week going to bug you again and be like, let's just do it. Let's just sit down and talk about it.
Maybe we will do a little draw preview. I don't know. I don't want to annoy my family too much talking about tennis, so it does help to talk about it with you. Take up the time.
All right, so I'm in a weird place because with Rafael Nadal not there, this seemed to be time for the coronation of Carlos Alcaraz, future 20-time French Open winner. But, I mean, I have no idea what to make of him losing the way that he did last week. I still think, obviously, he's the betting favorite, and I still think he's the guy to beat. But, Novak Djokovic isn't dead. Like, I don't know what to make of who should be the actual favorite going into the French Open.
Yeah, I have a hard time accepting anyone being the favorite over Novak Djokovic when he's not dealing with an injury. And, for listeners who probably aren't as in the weeds as us, Djokovic has come back from his injury. He's played in the clay season. He's taken a couple tough losses. He also didn't make it very far in Rome, and so he doesn't seem in form, but doesn't he do this every time? And isn't this best out of 5? It is fun, though, to me, that it feels a little more open. Daniel Medvedev just won his first big clay court title.
Mm-hmm.
There's Alcaraz. You never know if a Tsitsipas could pop up. Holger Rune is the one that beat Djokovic in Rome and has been playing really well. It does feel like there's 5 or 6 legitimate contenders, which is a nice difference. But Alcaraz and Djokovic, to me, are still the 2 heavy favorites.
Yeah, they're still the 2 heavy favorites. And I am still convinced. The Alcaraz thing is so weird because this, again, should be his moment. I don't know if I should concern myself with one loss on clay. Like there's not going to be another Rafael Nadal ever. Like it's not going to work that way where someone is just unbeatable on a particular surface. But damn, did it not make sense. It just really, really screwed with me the way that played out and what it might mean for where Alcaraz is.
Can I push back on you on that a little bit? Like, first of all, Alcaraz is what? Is he 19 still or is he 20?
I think he's 20 now, right?
He's 20 now. He is number 1 in the world. That is incredible.
Yes,
Since he came back from his injury, where he missed some time early in the year, he has been the best player in the world. He did win a big clay court title in Madrid, and the way they changed the schedule this year, where it's 2 weeks at a time for each of these tournaments, which I do not like at all, but that's a boring other topic. It seemed like a lot of the players were out of gas for the second tournament that did well in the first tournament. It's just such a long period, so I'm not too worried about the one loss that he has. He has been playing well. But the other thing, you're saying he can't be another Nadal. I don't know that he's any better on clay than he is on hard courts.
That's
right
fair.
Now, actually, by results, he might be better on hard courts than he's been on clay. He's good on everything.
That's fair. You're not wrong about that. My God, I don't know. It seemed like we were going to be setting up for Carlos Alcaraz to be that guy on clay too. What other storylines? You mentioned Rune. Like, to me, Rune is a huge storyline going into the French, right? Like, this is a dude that has shown up in a big way. Yes, he lost to Medvedev, but I think you have to start believing in him as being a guy that's ready to break through.
He has a 7-2 record versus top 5 players in his career.
That's nuts. I didn't even know that. That's nuts.
Outrageous. And it's not against he snuck in a couple against a struggling Tsitsipas, although there probably is 1 or 2 in there. He beat Djokovic twice. He beat Nadal. Has he played Alcaraz? I don't even know, but he's 19 years old and he's a punk, and I don't really like him that much, but I think he's going to be good for tennis because he feels like a very natural villain and personality that's going to annoy everyone, especially Djokovic.
So apparently they played in Paris last year obviously in the French. and he won the first set, and then they were going to a second set tiebreak, and that's when Alcaraz retired. And I don't remember that. I don't remember what the story was of that.
Yeah, well, that was the tournament where Rune went through Djokovic, I believe Nadal, and maybe Nadal wasn't there, and Alcaraz in the same tournament. I mean, he is a big game hunter. Like, he won one big clay court tournament this year. He lost in the final of Stuttgart. He made it to the final of Rome. So he's got the mentality that I think some of these other would-be contenders like Tsitsipas, Zverev is out of the mix now, even like a Taylor Fritz. I don't know if they have that championship kind of dog in them, to be cliche, and Holger Rune appears to have that in his unshaven, like he can't even grow facial hair like Danish face. He's still got that.
So funny. That's so funny. On the women,
it's true though. He looks like a kid.
Oh, there's no doubt. On the women's side, this is where we go back. It feels, as long as Swiatek is healthy after her, I get it. Rybakina followed up the run to the Australian Open final by winning in Rome, and it feels like she's having a moment, but she didn't actually have to beat Swiatek in order to do it. I would still think that Iga is the player to beat going into the French Open.
Right. To me, she's always been the best comparison for Nadal that I've seen to emerge in tennis, just because she says as much. She basically patterns herself after Nadal. She's got the big topspin for it. And then B, she's just unbeatable on clay. I mean, she has like 4 losses in the last 3 years on clay, and one of them, as you mentioned, was in the final just last week where she retired in the middle of the third set. But women's tennis, and I'm sure people aren't paying that close attention, has really changed this year. I mean, we were looking for stability at the top, and we have it right now. It is very much a Iga Swiatek, Sabalenka, and Elena Rybakina world. Those 3 have really separated from the pack and are piling up huge point totals and have basically been in the finals of every big tournament or semifinal. So it's those 3 women, and that's a little different than women's tennis has been lately.
No, it's been far more. There's been far more parity within the women's game. But you're right, there is a bit of a separation here. Is there another storyline that interests you? Obviously, I'm interested in just watching Paula Badosa play tennis whenever I can. But is there even another interesting storyline to you on the women's side?
Well, I just think from an American perspective, look, Coco Gauff has not had like an amazing year. I think she should be able to play well on clay. She has been, and I do think if she gets the right draw, she's a big match player. Jessie Pegula, still ranked in the top 5 right now, I believe, is having a solid year. Like, can she break through? Having 2 Americans in the top, 6 or 7 players should not be taken for granted. It's just they seem a tick below those top women as real contenders.
I agree with that. And boy, we were feeling like there was a moment coming for American men last year. Like, really, it did feel like there was a true sort of change. And then
it's kind of happening. It's kind of.
Is it though? Like, is it, Greg? Is there really an American man that you're feeling anything about going into a Grand Slam right now?
Well, not the French, and the Americans in general are generally bad on clay.
No.
It's the worst surface. No, I guess what the American men have done is they sort of like up their level where it's like, okay, these are guys that are going to get to big quarterfinals and maybe some big semifinals. Whereas, for the 5 years previously, like there just wasn't anyone doing
the
anything.
Second week, right?
But they're not really getting into the meat of winning a Grand Slam tournament, certainly on clay. So I think it could happen at the U.S. Open. Francis, actually, I think has had a pretty good year, and wouldn't surprise me if he made a little bit of a run, Francis Tiafoe. But at this tournament, no one's like a real contender.
No, not at all. All right. Look.
Come on, you sound so down. Taylor Fritz is playing like a quarterfinal in Rabat right now. He's only 25 years old.
I understand, but I just don't see it, man. Like, I see it in fleeting seconds. And maybe we're going to get through grass courts and they'll start playing a little bit better, and then we'll get to the summer and the tournaments in America, and there'll be a guy or two that builds up some momentum. And look, in no world did I see Francis's run coming last year, right? Like, I absolutely did not see that playing out the way that it did, to the point where he legitimately – that's the crazy part about it, is he legitimately had a chance to win the U.S. Open. It's not like when John Isner made a semifinal and you're like, okay, cool. Like, neat. I mean, like, he legitimately had an opportunity to win the U.S. Open when we got to the final days. So I understand that a lot can change over the course of the next couple of months, but I am not the excitement that I was feeling and I was trying to sell myself on, I'm right back off now. Like this year has
okay,
not.
that's fine. That's why tennis is fun. You can root for people from other countries. I really with Naomi gone, I've really sort of adopted. I'm not living and dying, but I've adopted Iga, and it's nice to root for like a winner. You know, I keep rooting for these players that don't win a lot. She wins a lot.
And this is the funny part, like, for people that don't follow the podcast, and shame on you, because it was I don't know if you guys heard, it was like literally the number one podcast in all of Croatia. So, I mean, just give it a little bit more respect. Actually, no, where did we do? I think the Dominican. We were the number one sports podcast in the Dominican Republic for reasons. Like, who knows? Even better than that
Mm-hmm.
terrible podcast around the NFL. Like, those guys stink in comparison. But no, I'm an Alcaraz guy because he's so bloody fun to watch. I don't know that I'm like a dyed-in-the-wool fan as much as it's just I know I get to sit down and watch Carlos Alcaraz play tennis today, and that's going to give me joy the way that, before we sort of thought that Aaron Rodgers was maybe a bad person, watching Aaron Rodgers play football on a Sunday, even though I didn't give a rat's ass about the Packers, gave me joy because it was going to be a fun experience. Or I'd say the way that, like, watching Jimmy Butler play basketball the last couple of months has given me joy despite the fact that I don't care about his team.
As a Celtics fan, I'm not enjoying that right now. Although I'm having I'm daring to have a little bit of hope this morning.
I was talking about that earlier. I think it's non-zero. It's so much more unique than another team, like, because you get to go back home after you won Game 4, whereas in most scenarios, a team that won the first 3 games would be, they would be going back home now to clear out to close out the series after losing Game 4. I can't ignore the possibility that it could happen, but unlike you, I am not.
Well, not to mention they won 57 freaking games this year, and they made the NBA Finals this year, and they're like, on paper, their 7th best player is better than the Heat's 3rd best player, but they have not been the better team, and they are not better coached, and they do not have the toughest best player. So I understand it probably won't happen, but it would not. I kind of expect them now to win this Game 5 and at least bring it back to Game 6 and make the Heat a little tense.
Do you also watch The Town 5 times a week, or are you more only like a 2-time-a-week viewer of The Town, Greg?
I've never seen The Town. I should, though. I hear it's great.
It's a good film, but it is definitely not a film that I've watched 5 times in my life, nor do I think that I would watch it. I don't think I've watched it a second time in my life, frankly, so I don't think it's something I need to do. I saw your AFC North thing floating around, and so I dove into it. And the way it was positioned by whoever runs social for NFL is this the greatest like skill position set that Lamar Jackson has ever had? And to me, and then I read about what you wrote, and it is, right? Like there's kind of no debate about that.
Of course.
But that has so much to do with what the bar is that we're talking about. I think the better question is this combination of players enough to break through in a loaded murderer's row of an AFC right now? And I think that's a far more relevant conversation to have.
Yeah, I think in a best case scenario, it absolutely is. I think they have more variance than most teams because you're not really sure what you're getting out of those top 3 receivers, Beckham, Bateman, and Flowers. I think I kind of know what I'm getting out of Bateman. You got to see if he's healthy.
Yep.
Odell is a mystery. That could be great or it could be nothing. And Flowers wasn't my favorite guy. I do like him in the spot that he's in, which is to me a 3rd or 4th receiver that you get him on the move, plays after the catch, but it's really Mark Andrews and Beckham and Bateman. I think that would get even more targets. So it's a nice group. It's not as good an offensive line probably as they had back in 2018. Like that's a high variance group. Lamar's kind of a high variance up and down quarterback too. So I think their offense is better than their defense on paper. I know they played great at the end of the year on paper last year on defense, but I think the offense is good enough. Yes, to answer your question, I think they have a chance to be a top 5, top 8 offense. A lot of things have to go right, but I wouldn't even have said that they had a chance in the last couple of years.
No, I don't disagree with that. Like, again, it's funny we say that because they were really good at running the football, and that I don't know what to expect.
Yeah.
That's the hilarious part to me is now I look at it on the other side and say the pressure's kind of there. Like, what is my confidence level that they're going to be able to run the ball now, which is such a weird thing to say about the Ravens offense. We saw in moments. J.K. Dobbins is very much under a microscope right now. We're like, I think that he's talented. I think he's a good football player, but the injuries have been such an issue that we haven't been able to see it consistently. I think that could end up truly being the difference in this offense as being, to your point, a truly top offense this year is, can J.K. Dobbins get back that second gear? Can they get him involved as a pass catcher, which he's never done, not only in the NFL, he was barely a pass catcher in college. I think he had like 2 catches per game in college. His skill set says he should be good in that way, but yet we've never seen it, and I don't know that I can just assume it until he actually goes out and does it.
Yeah, I'm very high on J.K. Dobbins this year. Someone I really trust, compared him to Emmitt Smith to me once. Not in like he's going to have that kind of career, but in what makes him good. And I see that, the vision, like the instincts of where to go that are just very hard to teach. Like Frank Gore had that too. Like if you need to get 3 yards, he can get you 4. And I thought you saw all that last year. He just didn't have the juice. And I'm just hoping that a year further removed from that surgery, that the juice is back. And when he has that, I think he's going to be a very consistent back. And I know the offense is changing, but Lamar Jackson's still your quarterback. That is a huge advantage for your running back, your running game, and your coaches.
Are we gonna? I said earlier today, when I'm 10 years away from 50. When I'm 50 years old, will there be kickoffs in the NFL?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, that's what I think.
I mean, there's barely them now with this new rule. I'm fine with that. I mean, I'm not going to go crazy about it.
That's sort of what I said. Like, if you ask me in a vacuum, do I want there to be kickoffs or not, I would say, well, as somebody who's watched kickoffs, it's like part of what I've known for 40 years. Yeah, I would probably prefer that the sport have kickoffs because I'm used to it. Am I going to be angry if in 3 years that's it? It's just over? Nah. Like, how could I possibly get worked up about kickoffs no longer being a part? We have romantic feelings about very specific plays that occurred. Like in Baltimore, it just so happens to be the 2 Super Bowl wins involved really good kick returners. So there are some romantic feelings about it because of it. But, whatever. Like, what? It's not the reason why we watch football. It's just not, like, it absolutely feels like it's the start of getting to that, and I can't pretend like I'm going to care all that much when we do get to that point.
Wait, who was making the big punt returns who was making those kick returns for the Ravens?
So
why am I blanking?
It was Jacoby Jones the last time. And
Jacoby Jones, that's
the first one was Maryland legend Jermaine Lewis, who ran a kickback for a touchdown in Super Bowl 35. So
Jacoby Jones, man. I mean,
he was exciting as hell.
I don't know if they get there all the way without. He made a couple plays, big plays.
It's so funny we say that because, like, Jacoby Jones, everybody would say, well, all he was a returner. In that run to the Super Bowl, he was actually a hell of an offensive player. Correct, no doubt about it. All right, what else is going on in your world these days? What are you up to? What can I plug?
Well, I'm banging out those projected starter series. I'm writing right now the final series. All 8 divisions will be up where I project the starters and kind of, it's good prep and kind of good analysis at looking at all the different rosters. And I got to say, man, after going through it, guys, that AFC North is so good.
It's nuts, isn't it?
Every roster makes sense. Like the Bengals, I think, are my Super Bowl favorites, like just in terms of the way they built their roster. But I really like the Ravens roster, and I really like the Steelers and Browns rosters too. I'm not sure about their quarterbacks totally, but like they're really good. Like in a normal year, I would look at all those teams in a vacuum and say, no, like the Steelers and Browns. I would look at them and say, that's a 9 or 10 win team. I'd look at the Ravens and be like, that's a 10 win team, 10 or 11 win team. I look at the Bengals and say like that's a Super Bowl contender. I think the Ravens are too. And it's like, but they're all in the same division, and it just doesn't work that way. And I think it's going to be a bloodbath. They do have a good out-of-division schedule, and that's one thing that really struck me doing this exercise. Is I think that's probably the best division in football.
I tend to agree with that, and it doesn't make life easy by any stretch of the imagination. At Gregg Rosenthal on Twitter is how you follow him. Let's try to do something at some point. I just like sitting around talking tennis with you, and I'm going to need somebody to talk to because I'm going to attempt to talk about it with my sidekick here, Griffin, and he's going to look at me like I have 6 heads. So actually,
I know. If you even like tennis a little bit, get on board. It is very sad Rafael Nadal's not playing.
Yep.
But Alcaraz, just pure box office, might be even more entertaining than any men's player we've seen come since Federer.
Awesome.
In my opinion.
Just awesome. All right, love you, buddy. Appreciate you. We'll talk soon.
See ya.
It's Gregg Rosenthal, NFL Network, NFL.com. And, hopefully we'll poke around with Courts of Thunder at some point.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure I have to pay for us to have the storage for the show, so I'd like to keep doing it at some point, or else it might be time to go ahead and stop doing that. It was a fun idea. It was something we both really wanted to do.
How long did you do it?
We did it for the better part of I think it started in the pandemic, and that was like everything started in the pandemic, right?
Yeah.
And so then from there, it was like, well, why not keep doing it, right? Like we were having so much fun doing it, and there was nothing else we needed to do. And then we were like, oh right, life returned, and so it's not quite as easy in order to make the time to do it. Like it's impossible for us to do the Australian Open because it's the playoff season for him. Like it's the toughest time of the year, and the matches are happening
3 a.m.
Right. I can't. Like we'd be talking about matches that we just simply hadn't watched, and that's not. Why would we do that? You're lying. Like I don't need to lie.
Okay.
And then the U.S. Open gets tough. Like I think we did a preview episode last year, and then again for him, it's like the 2-week build up. All the roster
season.
cuts are coming, and all that sort of stuff. And then I've got my play-by-play season starting then. So we realized the French and Wimbledon were like the two that we were like, well, we could do those, consistently. Except that, you want to go on vacation. This is the only time of year we get to see our families. So it's just tricky.
Tennis or the family?
Look, man, I like to try to find a way to do both. My wife and I we were in, where do we? Oh, we were camping with her. We go camping with her father and her stepmother on the beach in Delaware.
Ooh, nice.
And I don't remember the name of the park. I don't remember it's one of the state parks that does, beach camping. But they have a camper.
That's not Fenwick, is it?
I think it's not Fenwick. No, it's further up.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry. I'm not going to remember what state park it is. Okay. But the point of it is, we've done it a few times. And this particular year, my father-in-law and his wife said, hey, well, if you want, on Saturday, we'll just take the kids to the beach, and you guys can go explore. Like, you can hop on the ferry and, take it over to Cape May if you want to go see Cape May. And, we said, okay, cool, right? And actually, my wife's cousins, and then there's 2 kids. So, they go camping as well at the same time. So, the kids got to play with their cousins. It was neat. So, we go to Cape May, and we're on the ferry, and my wife looks over, and she's like, are you really watching Wimbledon right now? It's just the 2 of us, and we get a day without the kids. And I was like, yeah, I am. And I tried to do the final. It was Ash Barty against somebody in the Wimbledon women's final. And I looked at her and I said, she was like literally thinking that asking me that question was going to get me to put my phone away, which definitely wasn't going to do. So I had to get her hooked in somehow. I was like, I tell you what, look at these 2 women. Pick one of them, and we'll bet on them. She was like, what? I'm like, just look at them, pick one, and we'll bet money on them, and now you'll care. And she said, okay, and I think she picked Barty, thankfully.
Would you have overruled her, or just?
No, I was going to, because I wanted her, the point was for me to get her to care.
Right, okay.
It wasn't about, I didn't care about winning the bet. It was just about having her have a reason to care, so that I wouldn't get yelled at anymore. And then we went and found like a winery in Cape May, and I was just watching the tennis match.
It is nice about Wimbledon, because I feel like I'm always at the beach whenever Wimbledon's going on too. So you just throw on tennis in the morning or something.
It's a very difficult thing because
remember I cared about like Sam Querrey for a day.
Yeah, well, and they play on the 4th of July. That's the bigger problem for me, is that people want to get together on the 4th of July, and I'm like, right, but the thing is,
Wimbledon's in like
I kind of want to watch
the
tennis.
Second round.
Yeah, it's sort of. I would prefer if we watched tennis than if we went outside. Like, I don't want to go outside today. I want to watch tennis. That's why I gotta figure out a way to get the outdoor setup at my house. I don't have enough trees to pull off like the outdoor. I love the places where there's enough trees behind your house that you can create like the shaded backyard oasis with
patio
furniture and Like at my house, it would all just have I actually don't know how that works with furniture too. Where like it would just be cobwebs everywhere at my house. Like there's just no way to make comfortable furniture work outside. But you get the fire pit, you get the television screen, all of those things, and you create that nice little backyard oasis. I would love to have that, but it's not really an option for me at my house. Hot tub. I just want to be rich, I think is what I just figured out right now.
You're almost there, right?
No!
Oh.
Gotta find something that I'm good at some point. Well, I'm only 40.
Tennis podcast. Keep going.
Correct. It was #1 in the Dominican Republic.
Exactly.
I got an email one day, and it was like listing how we performed in all of these countries, and we were the #1 sports podcast in the Dominican.
Wow.
And I think I tweeted it out and was like, suck it, Big Poppy. And then we were #3 in Serbia, which made sense, like Novak Djokovic, like that actually made some sense. And we were like, it was just we were top 10 in all these very random countries. We had one of the top 10 sports podcasts in Croatia or wherever it was. I was like, why?
You got to sell this back to Greg so you can.
Well, I showed him, and I think he was also very excited about Serbia. He was like,
"It's like, oh,
Serbia, wow." I don't know, man.
Was it Henlopen Park? No.
Yeah, it might have been. It might have been Henlopen Park. Yeah, I don't have nearly enough trees in my backyard in order to be able to pull it off, as Proctor reminds me of. Like, I just don't have enough trees in order to make that work.
Start planting them.
Sure, that'll be the way that we go about doing it. Like, you need. I get so jealous. I have backyard envy. I could live without a pool. I don't need a pool. Pool's a lot of work.
Yeah.
I do want a hot tub, but I could live without a pool. It's too much. Like I don't need that. Although there's no better way to get people to come over to your house.
Right.
I throw a huge party every summer, and I struggle to get people now that we're all adults. And like people have their own things to do. I struggle to get people to come anymore, and I put a lot of effort into throwing this party. The moment you have a pool, everybody's coming to your house. Like, it doesn't matter. People you don't know are showing up at your house, but it's a lot of work. So I don't need a pool. Like a pool, I can live without. But all the other stuff in the backyard, like I want it. I get terrible backyard envy when I see like people that have multi-layer decks. Like, it's pornographic to me now. Like, I spend my days looking at people's backyard setups on the internet. Like, that's what I want. I'm like, I'll be sitting at home, I'll have my laptop open, and be like, God, that's hot. And my wife will be like, are you watching porn? Like, no, look at it's a 2-layer deck in this guy's backyard. And look at all the furniture that he's got around the fire pit. It's beautiful. I want that. God, why can't I have it?
I think it's normal.
What's the solo stove? That's very popular. It's like it encloses the smoke from the fire, so it's like less like you don't.
So it's not.
You don't have like the 2 days where like you're still
smelling like
smell smoke.
Okay.
God, I want one of those.
All right.
My wife, we had on Mother's Day, we had my parents and my sister and my brother-in-law over, and she was like, let's pull the fire pit out. And I was just like, it's about to be summer, right? She was like, yeah, but like, don't you kind of want to do a fire tonight? I'm like, I do. I really want to do a fire right now. I badly want to do a fire. Yes, let's do it right now. Backyard envy. That's all I care about in my life anymore. All right.
I'm rooting for you.
No, you're not. We'll wrap up hour number 2 of
lie
today's
about
show. When we come back in, we will get a tidbit. We'll get 2-bit to wrap it up for the day. It's been a Would You Rather Wednesday edition of Glenn Clark Radio.
Are you a diehard O's fan looking for the perfect way to show your team spirit? Look no further than Birdland Sports. Birdland Sports is a small business run by fans for fans. They offer a wide variety of unofficial O's merchandise, from the Birds Are Coming tees to player cartoon shirts and more. And the best part? Their prices are more affordable than the big guys. So head to birdlandsports.com and grab your gear today. Show your support for the Birds with Birdland Sports.
The latest edition of Press Box is available now. On the cover, Luke Jackson looks at the pipeline of talent still to come for the Orioles, diving in on last year's #1 pick Jackson Holiday and other top prospects like Colton Cowser, Heston Kjerstad, Kobe Mayo, and more. Also inside, Todd Karpovich profiles Orioles pitcher Kyle Gibson, and Bo Smolka breaks down what progress would mean for the team's 2022 draft picks in their second pro season. Press Box is available for free at over 500 area locations, including 60 Royal Farm stores, and you can always find the entire edition as well as the best daily coverage of the Orioles, Ravens, and Terps at PressBoxOnline.com.
That first sip, that first bite, Start your day off right with a delicious breakfast at Royal Farms. Choose from a fantastic selection of fresh Royal Farms breakfast sandwiches and top it off with a rich hot cup of the freshest coffee in the world. At Royal Farms, breakfast is available day and night. It's the freshest breakfast in the world. Real fresh, real fast. Royal Farms.
What air conditioning company can save 50% of your energy cost and qualify you for up to $7,500 in rebates? A.J. Michaels. We do more, we do it better for less. In Baltimore and Annapolis, ajmichaels.com.
If you miss anything on the show, don't forget that you can watch full episodes at youtube.com/pressboxonline, and you can download podcasts on Apple, iTunes, Amazon, and Grindr. Wait, did I say Grindr? I don't think that you would find it on Grindr. Not that I know it's on Grindr or anything, I swear. On second thought, you know what? I don't care what you think. Here's Glenn.
This is a disturbing headline from Barrett Sports Media. More layoffs are reportedly coming to ESPN ahead of Pat McAfee joining the worldwide leader. Including layoffs, NFL and NBA talent likely to see the biggest cuts. They don't have any NBA talent. What could they cut? Like, how can you do worse than what the ESPN does with the NBA? How could you possibly? You just never have a former player ever involved again? Like, you get rid of you don't even have guys with cachet involved. We just talked about this. Jesus. I'm sure it's worth no offense. I know everybody loves Pat McAfee. I'm sure it's worth it. I'm sure it's worth getting rid of everybody so you can just have Pat McAfee. God bless. I don't dislike the guy. I just nothing him.
So they're just gonna do away with all their afternoon shows.
I don't know.
Guess.
I have no idea what that's gonna look like.
So
whatever, man. That's their choice.
So NFL Live and I'm trying to think of
I don't think they're gonna get rid of everything. I'm sure.
So Orlovsky.
I have no idea.
Mina Kimes. Are they gone?
No, let's settle down on all of that.
Pat's best friends with Orlovsky.
I don't think that's the case.
He's taking his job.
I just think that they're whatever. We'll see. Who knows? Who knows what it ends up meaning? And I don't want to take the sound like a shot at Pat McAfee. I just don't. I hate this business. I really, really hate this business. Hey, we can bring you in. We'll pay you all this money. Great. But it means we're going to have 20 other people lose their jobs. I mean, it's not Pat McAfee's responsibility to care about them, obviously, but, man, it stinks. All right, hey, if you missed it, Stan the Fan Charles, Ross Grimsley, Luke Jackson, earlier in the week on Monday night, they caught up with Andy Dolich, former Oakland A's executive. That's a very complicated, it's a sticky wicket, that situation is. We thought it was a done deal for Vegas, but maybe not the done deal that we thought it was. If you missed that, Facebook.com/PressBoxSports, click on the videos tab, go to YouTube.com/PressBoxOnline or PressBoxOnline.com/video in order to check it out. Continue to get me your responses for Would You Rather Wednesday. One of you is winning a shirt of your choice from Birdland Sports. Again, birdlandsports.com. They've got a new Birdland Summer Beach Towel available that looks really sharp. Josh tried his hand at his own kind of City Connect uniform idea. So you can check that out at birdlandsports.com if you like it. Again, go get it right now. And what the hell, John from Little Rock? Of all people.
Is he cheating?
No. John from Little Rock, as I was going on about the joy of corn, says, remember, all that corn is just starch, carbs. The hell's wrong with you, you son of a bitch? Of all people. I respect John. And he understands the joys of sitting around and just eating corn. God. The greatest thing in the world.
Hot dog.
I tried to explain it. I had a friend who came into town was like, so do you guys just sit around and eat crabs all summer? I'm like, no, we don't. We'll do it a couple times. We sit around and eat corn all summer. We'll sit around all summer and just get more and more corn and load it up with Old Bay. That's the way that we spend our summers.
And pretend it's crabs.
Yeah, I mean, we'll don't get me wrong. We'll try to do crabs once or twice a summer if possible, but they cost a lot of money, man.
They do.
It's just not an option for us to regularly be cracking crabs. If it was affordable, yeah, we would probably do it all the time. It's also the event aspect of it where you have to prepare for it. You got to put down newspaper. You got to block out an afternoon because you're not going to be able to get up and go do something. It's not like eating a meal where you can just do it in 30 minutes and be done with it. Cracking crabs is a day-long event.
At least 3 hours.
Yes, correct.
Minimum. Yeah.
So
and then you got to wind down.
When people come to town, all they think about is crabs. And we're like, look, we do it. It's not like we don't do crabs. It's just that we don't do it as frequently as you probably think that we do because it's not convenient and it's expensive as hell. Let's go ahead and get a tidbit. Tidbit is brought to you today by A.J. Michaels. Expert and award-winning A.J. Michaels. Heating, AC, plumbing, and home performance will improve your home's energy efficiency and comfort levels. AC season is coming up fast. New rebates and discounts are available. More at ajmichaels.com. Think I should take this call? Let's see who it is.
Okay, go for it.
Let me see.
With you
Hang on.
just want to answer it.
Let's just see.
You just want to answer it on the.
This is Glenn.
Okay. I guess this is
Hello?
what we're doing. Telemarketer.
Hello?
We're
It's
just
a local number. That's why I thought I should answer it. Because it's a local number. Like,
gotcha.
not somebody. Oh, now what the hell is that?
And now you're playing
I
music.
gotta fix that.
So you just wanted to play music? That
No,
was
my phone does a bit where if I take a call, as soon as I hang up the call, whatever the most recent audio was that was playing, whether it was like a video I was watching on YouTube or a song on Spotify or something or a podcast, whatever the most recent audio was playing before I took the call, it just starts playing it again after I hang up the call, and I don't know what that's all about.
I'm gonna have to just
It's
start calling you
annoying.
now. Just to.
I got to get to the bottom of this.
I'm just gonna start calling
See,
you.
I ignore unknown numbers from other when they're not local, but when a local unknown number calls me, I answer it. So I don't know what to make of that. I'm confused by it.
The reverse Google search it. And
I guess I could do that. Yeah.
All right.
Go ahead.
Well, while you're doing that, the Knights, they did beat the Stars last night, so this became the first instance ever where all 4 NBA and NHL conference finals, best of 7 series had a team that was up 3-0. So first time ever.
How about that?
That happened.
How about that?
Unfortunately, it won't be the first ever sweep because I already forget who played last night. The Celtics.
Celtics,
Yeah,
yes,
because
they
the
beat the
Celtics
Heat.
won.
Yes.
Christopher Morel, have you heard of him?
Why have I heard of him? I have heard of him.
He is on the Chicago Cubs.
Yes.
He got activated off the IL like 2 weeks ago. He has been on an absolute tear since he came up. He has 9 home runs in 12 games. It is the second most home runs in a player's first 12 games of a season ever. Well, okay, since 1900, so not almost ever. He is tied with. Should I make a guess? Nah, you won't get it.
How would I ever know this?
In 2001, Luis Gonzalez.
Oh, that's okay.
Yes, hit 9 home runs.
They won the
in his
World
first
Series
12
that
games.
year.
And then Larry Walker in 1997 also hit 9 home runs in his first 12 games. Those 3 are tied behind only this guy who hit 11 in 1976 in his first 12 games of the season.
I don't know who this is a person. I just did reverse search the number. I have no idea who this person is.
Do you want to try to guess who has the most home runs in their first 12 games of the season?
First home runs in their first 12 games of the season.
Most
home runs. Right? Did I say first home runs? Weird. Most home runs in the first 12 games. How would I know that? Aaron Judge.
Not Aaron Judge.
Barry Bonds.
No. According to Stan, he's the best third baseman of all time.
Mike Schmidt.
That
son of a bitch.
Yeah. Players, this is from Sarah Lang's, came in the other night. So Martin Maldonado on Monday night, he
I suddenly got the hiccups, too. What the hell is
Lots
going
on with
around
you?
here?
Yeah. You're just thinking about corn. You pretended you just ate a bunch really quick, so you're getting the hiccups.
Really go for some corn.
So with Maldonado's home run against Milwaukee on Monday night, he became the 4th player ever to have a home run against all the current 30 teams before reaching 100 career home runs. He joins a list.
Wild.
Yeah, it is. It's a really weird list, and he joins a cool list of you're not going to get these guys. Jose Guillen.
Ah, sure.
Orlando Hudson.
Oh, it was the O-Dog.
And Stephen Drew.
I actually knew Orlando Hudson.
Yeah.
Why are the Diamondbacks all over this list? That's so random.
But yeah, he's homered against the 30 current MLB teams.
These are literally 2 guys that I knew because I covered them
with the
Diamondbacks, and both Stephen Drew and Orlando Hudson. That's so random.
That's why I picked the tidbit. Yeah.
By the way, Orlando Hudson was like very respected. Like baseball players loved Orlando Hudson. Like he was like their guy. And he was never a big star, so I never understood it. But go ahead.
This one, the official tidbit comes from Patrick Stevens. He listed out the most Final Four appearances, so semifinal appearances among men's Division I lacrosse teams. So most appearances. I want you to do there's 3 teams tied for 5. So top 7 teams with the most. Top 7 schools with the most Final Four appearances in men's lacrosse. Yes.
Maryland.
Maryland is 2.
Hopkins.
Hopkins is 1. Hopkins has 29. Maryland has 28.
Princeton.
Princeton is just outside. They're 8th.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they have 11.
Syracuse.
Syracuse is 3rd. 27 Final Fours for the Orange.
Virginia.
Virginia is fourth.
All right.
25 for the Cavaliers. 3 teams tied for fifth. 14 Final Fours for each of these threes.
Duke.
Duke is one of them. Patrick, list them last.
Yeah, he doesn't care about that. Carolina.
Carolina is the second. Who is the third team with 14?
I'm so surprised that it's not Princeton. Like, that's just mind-blowing to me that it's not Princeton.
Cornell has 14. Princeton is 8th with 11. Navy has 8. They're 9th on the list. Notre Dame 6. Denver 5. And Loyola has 4 Final Fours.
All right. Very good. Very, very good. Tubular, brought to you by your local Toyota dealer. BuyAToyota.com. The Toyota Tacoma comes in a range of models and trim lines, so you can choose the perfect Tacoma to reflect your unique personality and driving habits. Check out BuyAToyota.com for deals on new Tacomas from your local Toyota dealer today. Here's what's coming up totally tubular-wise this evening. Orioles try again against the Yankees, 7 o'clock on Masson. Tyler Wells and Nestor Cortez is the pitching matchup. You can also watch it on ESPN Plus, apparently, in the rest of the country. TNT, Game 4, as the Hurricanes try to stay alive and look to avoid the sweep at the hands of the Panthers in the NHL's Eastern Conference Finals. That's at 8 o'clock. The rest of the baseball, find at GlennClarkRadio.com. I think last night was ESPN Plus. I don't think that Orioles-Yankees game is in it. I'll double check.
It is on Amazon Prime if you're
in New York, specifically. The USA Network for Manchester City and Brighton and Hove Albion at 3 o'clock. Man City already won the title, right? So
yeah.
Okay. I guess they still have to play for relegation at the bottom of the table.
Yeah, Leeds is at the bottom, along with Leicester.
Because is Decision Day this Saturday or
yes.
or this Sunday? I guess they normally do it on Sunday, don't they?
Yeah, I think it is.
I think
Sunday.
they always is it. It's this Sunday for Decision Day. So
I'll double check, make sure.
Yeah, and then is there?
It might be like a midweek.
Is there a Champions League? Like, is there teams that still have to qualify? I don't. Whatever.
Yeah, because like Liverpool and United. Well,
all right.
United's 3 points ahead of Liverpool, so that'll be tough. But yeah, Brighton and Aston Villa
are competing for what? Aston Villa, yes.
For between Europa or the Europa Conference League, depending where they're going. Tottenham trying to jump Aston Villa as well to try to get into the Europa Conference League.
So, what are the different leagues then that you can?
There's Champions,
right?
There's all the UEFA leagues. There's
so who
Europa
goes into?
League.
How many teams go into the Champions League?
4.
And are they all determined? Do we know who the 4 teams are?
Yeah, if I guess I gotta try and do math here. Pretty much Liverpool. I don't think Liverpool can make it. Or actually, no. Yeah, if they win and United loses, I don't know who they each play.
All right. I've gone too far, and we don't really know is the answer. You're kind of trying to figure it out.
We're rooting against Everton and Leicester.
Oh, you know what? We're not going to do fighting words tomorrow because you're not going to be here. Is there anything that we needed to?
Not really.
It's not really a big.
One more. They don't. There's really nothing this weekend. Haney won.
Right, that was obviously.
Yes.
But we didn't get any inclination that they're setting up Haney.
No, not really. So maybe a good week to pass on fighting words.
Anyway. Yeah, I guess that's probably
true.
true.
No UFC, not really anything.
Griffin's going away for a couple of days. Yeah. He's going out to Cali. That's where he's headed.
That's right.
There's really not. There's a bunch of professional wrestling this weekend. Tons of professional wrestling. There's 2 WWE pay-per-views and an AEW pay-per-view this weekend. It is. There could not
Big
be more.
For you.
I hate it. I hate this. Hate it. Not a chance I'm going to be able to watch all of this nonsense. No chance. But no real fights this weekend, I don't think. All right, anyway. Speaking of professional wrestling, AEW Dynamite tonight at 8 on TBS. Non-sports highlights?
Survivor Season 44 finale is tonight. Let's see. Master Chef Season 13 on Fox. That premieres tonight.
That's great news from Mrs. Clark and I. We have something to watch.
Congratulations.
Wonderful.
So I guess that'll complicate you when you're wrestling watching then?
No, because I put wrestling on. This is the dirt for people that don't watch. Please don't.
For people that aren't with us after the show.
No, for people that listen to Jobbing Out.
Okay.
I put it on over here on this screen when the show ends, and I don't watch any of it. WWE Raw was on in the background yesterday. If you asked me to tell anything that happened on WWE Raw, I couldn't name one thing.
Roman Reigns got angry for some reason, didn't he?
Yes, but I probably and not one thing.
I noticed that at least.
I don't watch. It's just on So that, like, it could jog my memory if it comes up during the course of the podcast. Like, oh, I could kind of vaguely remember that. I can't. I don't have the bandwidth to watch anymore. I would like to stop doing the podcast, but I like those guys too much, so I can't do it. Oh, it stinks. Anything else?
Yeah, the Flash series finale of the Flash on the CW. New episode or Vanderpump Rules on Bravo. My mom wants to make sure I mention that because she's a big Vanderpump Rules. Dave, new episode of Dave. New series on Disney Plus. It's called American Born Chinese.
How many Ted Lasso episodes?
This is the penultimate episode.
This is penultimate. Okay.
Penultimate of the season. I guess we're not really sure if they want to try to do another season after this.
I don't think Sudeikis wants to do another season.
I mean, I guess they can make it work. Platonic, also new series on Apple TV Plus today. It's with Seth Rogen. He is platonic friends with some girl.
I saw. No, it's somebody we know. It's somebody.
Rose Byrne.
And was who he did Neighbors. Wasn't she the co-star in Neighbors?
Oh, was she?
I thought that was why this was like supposed to be a cool thing. Was because they were getting, they were like reconnecting.
I don't know Rose Byrne well.
Platonic show.
Yes.
Hang on a second.
Oh, she was in Peter Rabbit.
Oh, great. Was she?
She was in Neighbors. Yeah,
she was she was his wife in Neighbors.
But she didn't have like a big role in Neighbors.
His wife?
I don't remember her having a big role.
I mean, she wasn't like.
It was about Zac Efron and Seth Rogen.
I understand, but she was a significant part of it. What are you doing? This is a weird bit.
Dave Franco.
I assure you, I don't care. It does. I might watch this show, but it's not high on the list for me.
Yeah.
All right.
Seth Rogen. So.
Hey, don't forget, PressBoxOnline.com/contest. Sign up to win 4 tickets to all the area minor league baseball teams, as well as an Easy Pass Maryland on-the-go transponder preloaded with $25 and $50 gas card from Royal Farms to get around. PressBoxOnline.com/contest. Must be 18 or older. Thanks today to Ken Singleton. Thanks to Tavaras Hardy from Loyola. Thanks to Cordell Woodland. And thanks to Gregg Rosenthal. We'll get it all up in the greatest hits section of the
Oh, my God. It's so good.
tab at GlennClarkRadio.com. Did you just burp?
No, it was my phone scraping across the table.
I couldn't figure out what that was.
Ridged somehow.
I was like, that was a weird noise.
Try it again.
Okay. It sounded worse the first time for sure. Griffin's not here tomorrow. Carson's in for him tomorrow. Drew will be here, allegedly. And
Jim
Bowden, former MLB GM.
And we'll make a trip to Bowie as well.
Make a trip to Bowie tomorrow as well. That other thing probably not going to happen.
I mean, I'll have to call. I'll see. What's
I would say we should probably call. Yeah,
well, yeah.
We should probably do that. All right. Thanks everybody. Pressbox, all of our great sponsors and partners, including AJ Michaels, Glory Days Grill, Royal Farms, Costas Inn, All American Lacrosse, Birdland Sports, your local Toyota dealer, buyatoyota.com. Thanks to Griffin at Griffin_Bass. Follow us Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Glenn Clark Radio. Have a great Wednesday evening. Go Birds. Duke sucks.